Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. Alaska's Brooks Range. The northernmost extension of the Rocky Mountains is one of the most remote and least disturbed landscapes in the world. Dramatic peaks and valleys are plagued with wolves, wicked terrain, and fast-moving weather. She has a will of her own. Spanning nearly 800 miles, much of the range is only accessible by air. With the highest aviation accident rate in the country, flying in is a perilous start for brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer.
That creek right back there, that's got to be where we have to get to. So we're going to have to step and fetch once we hit ground. I'll try and find that little outlet and then boogie down to the creek. We're going to have to make a beeline for that cache.
Chris and Casey will have 5 hours to trek 4 miles in order to validate their first cache, if they can find it.
Well, once we get out, let's just hit the ground and run it.
Touching down in remote Alaska means the brothers instantly must kick into survival mode, because the clock is already ticking. Their immediate mission is straightforward: traverse miles of barren tundra on foot in hopes of reaching the likely location of the first supply cache, dubbed the Pioneer Cache. They must quickly steady their nerves and get their bearings, because hesitation now could cost them more than just daylight.
Oh, man. He didn't waste any time, did he? No, he didn't.
Any chance of turning back disappears with the departure of the bush plane.
First of all, we have absolutely no wood for a fire. We have no way to start a fire. And we have to go that direction based on what we saw coming in, because that's where that creek is. It's over that ridge.
Well, we're gonna have to figure out a way to make some shelter up here, man.
Well, I'll tell you right now that we will absolutely freeze. I mean, right now we're midday, we got high sun. I'm still chilly, so if we don't get down to the river and find a way to make shelter, we're gonna be in trouble.
Chris and Casey have carefully chosen the basic clothing they need to stay warm. The brothers are wearing an advanced layering system. This allows them to quickly remove and add layers to combat the rapid and drastic shift in temperatures. They're also relying on the accuracy, knockdown power, high capacity, and control of semi-automatic 10mm handguns for last resort protection against Alaska's most dangerous predators. If any of these items fail, the brothers fail.
At least if we can locate the cache, that's going to represent at least something, I'm hoping.
More than we're gonna have now.
I mean, we've been dropped in areas before. This is like ridiculous. There's nothing up here.
Dude, I've been a lot of places in Alaska. I've never been anywhere this wide open.
Problem is we don't know where the cache is.
The Kiefer brothers have over 100 river miles to cover between insertion and extraction. Their starting point in the high country sits miles from what seems to be a small outlet creek. Once at the creek, they must travel the waterway towards the tree line. The supply-yielding caches will be placed at predetermined locations and will contain tools vital to the brothers' mission. As they work their way downstream, Chris and Casey will need to be opportunistic hunters and gatherers if they hope to stay alive, using nothing but the tools found in each cache.
It's gonna take us a hell of a lot longer to reach that creek than we think, dude. Look how far that is.
I know, but there's no other option at this point.
Not only that, but if we're between 2 creeks, that means we gotta figure out how to cross one before we get to the bigger creek. So with this one running right here and that one running right there, we're eventually gonna have to get across one of them.
Uncertain of their destination and with no mode of transportation, the brothers are forced to trek over the open tundra.
Well, there's nothing else to do at this point besides roll.
It's 40 degrees. We gotta figure out shelter, start turning our minds towards food, and just focus. The rest we're gonna have to figure out.
All right.
That's what we do, man.
I'm down, let's roll.
Let's go.
This segment of Dropped is presented by Cabela's, it's in your nature. Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend. And Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. Enduring a lack of food, burdensome hiking, and fluctuating temperatures can quickly drain the body of energy. For the Kiefer brothers, the effects are noticeable almost immediately as the initial surge of adrenaline wears off.
Pay attention more off to the right, because I remember it being this direction. At least that inlet looked like it was that way.
Depth perception is the visual ability to perceive the world in 3 dimensions, helping us to judge the distance of an object. In order for the human brain to process certain visual cues, both eyes must work together as a team. This is called binocular vision. Each eye is in a slightly different position, gathering a different view from its own unique perspective. When both eyes aim at the same object equally and accurately, 2 separate images are relayed to the brain for processing. The brain stitches the 2 images into one, adding the depth dimension. This is called stereopsis, and it allows the Kiefer brothers to estimate how far they are from the next ridge at all times. The seemingly lifeless tundra covers over half of Alaska, but the desolation can be deceiving. Several different animal species call this barren ground home, and they all compete with each other for food and territory. The treeless region offers little cover from the predators that patrol the landscape. If visitors want to survive, they have to adapt. For Chris and Casey, adapting hasn't been effortless. Their first few miles is taking longer than anticipated.
Nothing like tussock turning the muskeg. I mean, it's like a maze. You can't just walk straight.
This right here is what makes walking in the tundra so hard. This is tussock, all these little knobs and nastiness.
The Alaskan tundra is a treeless ecosystem spanning over 300,000 miles and home to over 1,700 plant species.
Every time you stand on top of this stuff, it just shifts back and forth. And you can roll your ankles, tweak your knees. It just makes walking hell. So to make things even worse, then you get on stuff like this. You get on this moss right here. Big, soft, spongy type stuff that when you step in it, you sink way down. Even if you pick a straight line when you're walking through this kind of stuff, you probably walk twice the distance because you kind of try to weave in and out of it. The joys of walking around the tundra, man.
Walking twice as far means burning twice the energy.
I mean, it's just false ridge after false ridge.
Didn't look nearly that far from the air.
It's freezing out right now too. This wind is just cutting through me.
A nightmare to walk through.
That's it right there. I mean, that's the only thing around here. So.
Despite being further than expected, the brothers run into their first sign of water.
We gotta get this cache before it's too late.
Abrupt changes in temperature can wreak havoc on the ill-prepared. The Kiefer brothers are already seeing the benefits of their clothing choices as they race against the clock with over a mile to go and just an hour and a half left to validate the cache.
There it is, brother.
That's it. Definitely it. It's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I know. This is definitely the headwaters right here.
Utilizing even the slightest elevation change in the tundra helps the brothers determine what lies ahead.
We know that this is going to run out. It's going to hit that right there. That is the top of the water.
Well, you can see that valley that whole way.
The brothers have located the headwaters, but now they must find the actual cache.
I mean, if they're going to bring it in here, they're probably going to bring it in over here somewhere where this beach is, don't you think?
Yeah, they're going to drop right here. Plus, this is the easiest way around right here. Look how open that is compared to this side over here.
Past experiences have given the brothers valuable insight into the areas of the North Country that are accessible by humans and how. As they scan the banks, they rely upon their knowledge to systematically gauge where the cache should be.
If for some reason we have to backtrack, we will, but I feel like we should go right over there to that first.
Oh, let's get over there.
One wrong move will cost valuable time and precious energy.
Get down to that corner right there.
The clock is ticking, and the Kiefer brothers have yet to find their first cache. They've decided to gamble on the path of least resistance. If their gamble is wrong, they face backtracking, burning energy, and impending darkness. The Kiefer brothers have zigzagged over 3 miles from their point of insertion. They're now within just 1 mile of the Pioneer cache, with hopes that the supplies are waiting for them near the banks. The cache is camouflaged by a thick blanket of low-lying brush surrounding the lake. In order to find the supplies they need to continue their journey, Chris and Casey must proceed with purpose and focus.
Keep your eye out through this entire lowland stuff. It's right there, dude. Right there.
Where?
Right in front of us. Right here.
Right there. Woo! Nice find, dude.
Oh, man. Cash.
Nice spot.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got a Tenzing bag for sure, which is good. We got a backpack now.
We got a raft.
All right, here's binos.
Set of wading boots.
I gotta find the GPS.
In order for the brothers to make use of the supplies in the Pioneer cache and any other caches they may find, they must first validate their location back to the producers. If they fail to validate any of the correct locations in the time allotted, the cache's contents will be useless to them.
Reel.
Hold on, I'm gonna validate this.
Those other waders.
Checking in. Okay. And okay, cache validated right now.
Water bottle.
What do we got?
It's been half a day since the brothers were inserted on the high mountain lake. Having battled miles of open tundra, tussock, and a lack of clear direction, the brothers have successfully found and validated their first cache.
Waders, wading boots, fly rod, reel.
There's only one set of boots?
Yeah, there's only one set of boots in here. Hold on, let's rip this thing open. Or this. Zip that right there. There's the boots. This thing.
Okay, so we got the raft.
Yep.
Here's a knife.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, no, that's solid. If we can ever get into a place where there is wood.
All right.
We got nothing for a weapon.
No, we got a fly rod though. We know there's grayling up here. There always is.
Yeah, but there's no weapon. There's no gun or bow.
No weapon means the brothers can't take big game, drastically limiting their food options.
You know what else there isn't?
There's no gun. I know that. All right, wait, this will work.
There's no oars.
What?
There's no oars.
This segment of Dropped is presented by PSE, Experience PSE, Experience Performance. Scentlock, proven deadly. Gorilla, for the toughest jobs on planet Earth. And Wiley X Eyewear, absolute premium protection in the field.
There's gotta be oars. All right, let's get back to this for a second. There's no weapon and there's no oars.
And there's no tent.
No oars will make the brothers' journey more difficult and hinder their pace.
Not worried about the tent because we can use the raft and we can build shelter.
There's rope right there. Let's concentrate on this for a second. We have a pack. We've got a knife, which is huge to have that because at least we can chop down wood if we can ever get into a place where there is wood. Flint and tinder. Well, we just gotta take what we got. At least we have something to try and catch some food. At the end of the day, that's kind of important up here in this high country.
The Pioneer cache contains a number of critical items. The raft is a 16.5-foot inflatable canoe capable of carrying up to 1,800 pounds of cargo. Made of 32-ounce PVC, the Pioneer Extreme weighs in at 72 pounds. The 5-weight fly rod is equipped with a large arbor reel. The setup comes complete with a fly box containing dry flies and nymphs, making it possible to land anything from grayling to salmon. The fire starting kit contains a fire striker, flint rock, and a tinder nest for quick ignition, even in extreme conditions. Rounding out the critical cache items is a set of 10 by 42 binoculars. These optics should prove useful for trying to locate game for food and provide a better look at what's ahead. The binoculars are tucked into a soft harness with an elastic strap for comfortable carrying.
Boy, that's gonna make it.
Here it is, hold on.
That's gonna make it rough.
We have 8 miles downriver to the next cache. Maybe that's where we're gonna end up getting other stuff, I'd hope.
While a GPS is a modern tool, to the brothers it's nothing more than a glorified compass. Survival in a primitive situation, for them, means using your mind and your instincts more than any other tool.
The evening.
Yeah, and then we'll get into the gear and get this all figured out.
With no oars and a setting sun, the brothers decide to spend the day's last light getting their bearings.
Yeah, at least we have the ability to glass. Let's just see if we can't get some eyes on what lies ahead of us, because we're gonna have to go out this way anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Wow, there's not a tree anywhere.
That's right here.
Huh?
See it? Caribou right there. A whole herd.
Are you kidding
The
me?
movement among the tussock is quick to draw the brothers' attention. This time, it's a herd of caribou, and they're surprisingly close.
Are you messing with me right now? Look at them.
They're coming right at us.
We got an entire herd of caribou.
That sucks.
According to Alaskan game regulations, hunters are prohibited from flying and hunting in the same day.
I mean, there's all kinds of them right there.
Look at that, the wind too. We could literally sneak right down here like that. That's painful, 14 days of meat right there.
I hate that we gotta move past these caribou. I mean,
what are we gonna do? There's nothing we can do.
I know, there's nothing we can do, but...
Sit here and watch them all day. Hope one of them falls over.
Completely falls over dead and we just walk up on them. It's frustrating because that is a lot of food right there. That bull right there is a complete slam dunk. A little disheartening at this point in the game.
Yeah, to say the least. Come all this way to have these caribou right in front of us and we can't do anything.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just spinning our wheels.
Boy, that's maddening. A couple weeks worth of meat, man. Let's quit wasting time. I gotta get back down there.
I'm not even gonna mess with them. Let's just get out of here.
North America's unique system of game laws was specifically created by hunters as a way to conserve, protect, and ensure the future of many species of wildlife. While these caribou would provide weeks' worth of meat, the brothers must leave them be. But in Alaska, they're not the only item on the menu. Fish, ptarmigan, or natural forages such as berries and plants can be found, if you know where to look. These resources can be scarce, so the brothers will have to take advantage of any opportunity they can to find fuel for their
You
bodies.
sure there's nothing else laying around down here? Like, I don't see anything in the... I don't see anything else.
I mean, that's it, man, right there. We got those items. So we'll just make the best we can do with it. Let's fish our way down. Lord knows we're not gonna be going fast because we don't have oars.
Missing oars means there is no way for Chris and Casey to propel or even steer the raft. With half a day behind them and no food or water, a mundane chore quickly turns into backbreaking work. Being in the elements for an extended period of time depletes the body of energy. For the brothers, the labor of inflating a raft compounds that in an unexpected way. Life in the middle of nowhere is a constant strain, mentally and physically.
It won't take anymore.
Yeah, that's about it. This is it, man.
Oh, that's
go.
where it's at.
All right, so how about this? Instead of sleeping under it and using it for a shelter, let's put it right there against that hillside. We'll put this stuff so it's on the left to give us some, windbreak.
Yeah.
And let's just get in this thing down and dirty with it.
Oh yeah, if we get in, it's gonna keep us up off the ground. It's like a big air mattress.
Well, here's the deal. If it rains,
flip it?
Flip it on us. Let's get it up and set right now, and then we can figure out the rest of the stuff.
Oh, I was gonna go to sleep right now.
Yeah, we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
As soon as we lay down, we're gonna be done.
Get that gear packed up.
With the temperature dropping, the brothers settle in for the evening.
All right, you get the pack, I'll get these waders.
Okay. I got some of this stuff in here.
I'm gonna sleep in these waders tonight, man. It'll be warmer than not sleeping in them.
You go ahead and do whatever you'd like to do.
Because we're not gonna start a fire, are we?
No, I say we don't start a fire. I mean, we're not gonna have any wood right here. I mean, this is all just tussock and willow. I mean, there's nothing dead. I think we're gonna waste time if we start a fire. I say we just tuck in.
Save that tinder for when we need it.
That's what I mean. I don't want to waste it on all this green wood.
Especially because we're not cooking anything.
No.
I mean, I'm not gonna fish tonight. I think that sun's going down here pretty quick. Well, where do I start with this one?
A boat with no oars, no weapon, and no shelter really throws a monkey wrench in Alaska right now.
You know, maybe we don't need oars the first couple of days. Maybe we're gonna be doing an awful lot of dragging.
Which side do you want? Room 1 or room 2?
I think both of our goals right now is to hit tree line.
I mean, there's no wood up here to speak of. Not even any firewood up here.
It's gonna be a long, cold night, but as of right now, we're making do. We're getting tight for the night. Tomorrow, we gotta haul it.
Winter is coming early in Alaska.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. Summer has officially left the Brooks Range. The arrival of autumn triggers a drastic change in the behavior of many of the range's yearly residents. Bears begin to eat around the clock, building a thick layer of fat to survive on during hibernation. Moose, who are typically solitary animals, actively seek a mate as they come into rut. Beavers cut trees to build and stock their lodges with food. Last night's plummeting temperature was just a precursor of the winter that is to come, a warning that must be taken seriously. As the Kiefer brothers awaken to tackle the first leg of their journey, they are greeted by an icy morning. Their first cache yielded basic transportation, a way to catch food, and the ability to make fire. With no protection from the freezing temperatures, the brothers endured their first night with little rest.
That was one of the coldest nights I've ever spent, period. That sun feels like a sauna right now. We gotta get out of this high country.
Miles of unknown terrain stand between the brothers and their next cache of valuable equipment.
We gotta make it 8 miles, but I don't know that we'll be able to make it 8 miles. I have no idea what's in store on this river. We don't know if it's skinny and shallow, lots of boulders or what, but usually up high like this, these rivers can present quite a challenge. Oh, that's cold.
With no prior knowledge of the river's channel or flow and a lack of oars, the brothers will push off from a small outlet slough. River levels fluctuate drastically in Alaska, even drying up or going underground at times. In the likely event of shallow water, the brothers will be forced to carry their equipment over rocky ground, which will slow their pace.
Anytime you wake up with ice on your face, it's not good.
With no shelter to protect themselves or their gear, last night's drop in temperature has created some unexpected problems. September in Alaska means limited daylight. The brothers can't afford a slow start.
It definitely dropped down into the 20s last night for sure. They're just frozen. Everything up here is frozen solid. Look at, this is gonna be a task.
When the temperature drops below 32 degrees, water vapor in the air transforms from a gas to liquid and then to a solid. Anything exposed to the open air will form a thin sheet of ice that exhibits a repeating pattern at every scale. This is known as frost. Water seeps into voids found in fibers and equipment, which can solidify into ice. This ice expands and attracts water from adjacent voids, which then freezes upon contact. Crystals continue to grow and join, creating an ice lens that degrades elasticity and erodes materials. Long-term exposure to the element can potentially render the Kiefer brothers' limited equipment unusable.
Okay, next time, just at least figure out where the sun hits first.
Set those in the sun, not underneath.
I mean, I can't even get the boots tight.
I know. Well, the faster we get moving, the faster it'll start to come back around. Tie this stuff up and we'll have to carry it.
The thing is, we don't have much to carry.
The body's natural way to combat a dangerously low core temperature comes in the form of shivering. The body contracts and relaxes muscles erratically in an effort to heat itself back to temperature, burning precious calories in the process. For the brothers, the fastest way to get warm is to get moving.
Go this way.
The faster we get moving, the faster my blood gets flowing. Frozen solid, man.
The main means of transportation now sits in front of the Kiefer brothers as a frozen chunk of backwater slough.
I think we're just gonna end up having to carry the raft, what it seems like.
Really looking forward to this.
The sharp edges created by fracturing ice can easily slice through waders and tear holes in a raft, two risks that aren't worth taking. For the brothers to make progress, they must find moving water.
That's a good way to start the day.
Sweating now.
This segment of Dropped is presented by Cabela's, It's in Your Nature, Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend, and Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence.
Okay, here's the mouth of the river right here.
Yeah, go right down the cut.
Oh, brutal.
Creeks of the North Country provide a useful highway for traveling, but a lack of oars means the brothers will have to continuously exert themselves if they want to beat an Alaskan harsh winter. This high in the tundra, endless changes of depth, direction, and water flow means a constant battle to keep the pace.
It's a little deep right here.
The brothers have managed to find a channel that holds enough water to float, a rarity of the high Arctic rivers of the region.
Now all we got to do is find the next cache. Let's hit it. Yeah. Shallow again. I'm just gonna go straight over the point.
Repeatedly dragging a raft over sharp rocks on the creek bed can quickly destroy its hull.
A little bit more.
Rather than risk damaging the raft, the brothers choose to portage. There is no way of knowing whether portaging the raft around this stretch of the river will make for easier travel, but the brothers have already wasted valuable time dragging.
Ready? Yep.
The added weight of the raft on their backs and the constant mental focus needed to pick through the maze of tussock grass consumes their limited energy.
Watch your ankles.
Oftentimes in the far reaches of the north, the fastest way around a stretch of shallow water in a river, known as a rock garden, is portaging. Portaging requires carrying the raft and all its contents out and around obstacles. Some portages may span several miles. While portaging usually saves time and provides a safer route around stretches of dangerous rock-strewn sections of the river, it often comes at the expense of carrying dead weight over tough terrain.
Yikes. Yatta. I'm over this tussock. It's ridiculous. I feel like every step I'm gonna snap an ankle, and I got glass ankles as it is.
I know.
This is ridiculous right now.
Adapting to this harsh environment is proving tiresome for the Kiefer brothers.
Hopefully we don't have to portage much more. I mean, if we stick to following just this brushy stuff that's on the side of the creek, at least find good flow. I mean,
This is cutting off a ton of time, so if we can just get right to there.
it just amazes me how caribou and they just move through this stuff like it's nothing.
Oh, they run through it.
Traversing the tundra with ease is not the only adaptation that has been essential to the survival of caribou in the north. Their split hooves have 4 toes. 2 are broad and crescent-shaped, making it easier to swim and travel in the snow. Their outer coat is made of hair that is hollow, keeping them buoyant and trapping heat close to their bodies. Their noses have a special chamber for holding in heat and moisture. This pocket is designed to warm cold air before it enters the lungs. They can even lower the rate at which their body burns calories. This allows them to survive on the sparse vegetation found in the open tundra during the long winters of the north.
Way more water.
It's a little steep, don't you think?
Tell you what, I'm not walking any further, so she's going in somehow.
The river's current has increased to desirable levels for floating, but in order to reach it, the brothers must make their way down a steep bank.
Whoa!
Falling in the frigid waters could lead to hypothermia within a matter of minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna let it turn us and then I'm coming. You ready?
Yep, go.
The brothers' decision to portage has paid off. They have finally reached a channel that's suitable for floating. The Kiefer brothers still have 4 of 8 river miles left to reach the next cache. Today's pace has been continuously slowed by shallow water, and there's only so much daylight the brothers can spend on travel alone. Without oars, Chris and Casey are at the mercy of the river's flow. They must use their hands and feet to prevent the raft from slamming into the riverbank. Each bend in the river risks an injury or puncturing the raft, which could leave them stranded.
This is way easier, man. Headwinds are brutal with no oars.
Lacking oars from their first cache not only slows their pace in the face of a stiff wind, it also means they'll be forced to pinball their way downriver.
Sooner than later, we're gonna have to find some trees.
With no trees in sight, the brothers may face another night of freezing temperatures without the warmth of a fire. With daylight fading and only half the distance to their next cache behind them, the Kiefer brothers have stopped to evaluate an area for making camp.
There's a grayling right there.
Oh, you got some grayling rising? Well, that just solidifies it for sure.
Past experience has taught the brothers to consider only what's directly in front of them when making any type of decision.
We got driftwood, deadwood. This is the first time we've even seen trees. Yeah.
Well, you want to stay here?
Yeah, I want to stay here. It's got absolutely everything we need.
We're not going to do the what's around the next bend game?
No, I'm not doing what's around the next bend.
Deadwood for fire and actively feeding fish make this a prime location for the brothers to camp.
I'd rather man a fire all night and just kind of...
All right, I'll go to work getting this rod together.
The ability to divide and conquer in any survival situation is crucial to success. As Chris searches for reliable wood, Casey sets out to land the trip's first meal.
So we got kind of a classic fishing river with riffle, run, pool, riffle, run, pool. And what happens is when you get to those pools and you find those fish, you're gonna have a fish right at the bottom at the tail. You're gonna have a fish all the way at the top, and then you're gonna get some fish that hold throughout the middle. But what I like to do is I like to start at the very bottom, and I'll start down here at this tail.
A good fisherman focuses on keeping the area being fished in a calm and natural state.
That way I can control them and keep them away to keep all the water up above me clean.
A hooked fish swimming wildly throughout the pool will spook others, and the chances of landing a second decreases. Catching a meal with basic equipment is only half the battle. Cooking one has its own fair share of difficulties. Chris must find dead wood if he hopes to build a fire.
All dead.
Live wood contains significant amounts of water, making it almost impossible to burn. Forearm-thick willow or spruce makes perfect fuel and oftentimes rests on the edges of gravel bars.
I need a pole like this right here. This is dead.
Finding a limb this tall in the tundra is rare. Utilizing it as a push-pole provides safer travel, but sacrifices hours of warmth around a fire.
Find 2 of them. And if not, Casey doesn't get one. Probably make him pretty mad, but at least I got one. This is gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna dig through this fly box because I don't even really know what's in there.
Over 2,000 species of insects can be found in the Alaskan tundra. Mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies make up the primary diet of the various fish that call these Arctic rivers home. A fly fisherman uses imitations of these insects to pique the interest of a hungry fish. Where the insects are found in the water column is an important aspect of which type of imitation fly to use. The cache's limited selection of flies means Casey must be constantly aware of insect patterns, seasonal changes, and river conditions if he hopes to catch any supper.
Got a few mayfly imitations, which is probably what I'm gonna start with, because basically a mayfly is big and slow. A caddis is fast and it skates across the water quickly, and they have to work hard to get it. Mayflies, they don't have to work hard to get. I did see mayflies in the air while we were floating today, so I know they're up here. I didn't get a good look at what color they were, but hopefully I can catch some supper tonight.
Mayflies are well known to fly fishermen. These aquatic insects lay their eggs on water, which settle to the bottom or adhere to a submerged object where they incubate. After roughly 2 weeks, the eggs hatch into their nymphal form. They can spend much of the year in this stage feeding off algae found on the riverbed. When ready, they rise to the surface and molt their exoskeleton to take flight. Once airborne, the adult mayfly may have at best 2 days to find a mate and lay eggs before its short life is over.
There's at least 4 to 6 good fish up this edge right here. Kind of watching this seam and this bubble line. This is where the fish are all lined up at. And pretty much that seam, that bubble line, exactly where that is where the food travels. Generally what a fish does is he lays on the surface. As the bug comes to him, he follows it, and then he hits it, and then he goes back and lays down.
Seeing a fish rise to the surface to feed allows Casey to predict where it may be laying on the riverbed.
Well, I got one right here that's about 10 feet in front of me. See if we can't make it happen.
When fly fishing, the concept is to use the weight of the line to load and then unload energy from the rod back to the line. The most common cast is the overhead cast, where the angler whisks the fly into the air, back over the shoulder until the line is nearly straight, then forward, placing the weightless fly perfectly on the surface. There are a great number of special casts meant to evade problems like trees behind the angler, a difficult sport that takes touch and patience. The brothers have reached a pivotal point in the journey as Casey lands their first meal.
Hey, Chris, grayling, buddy.
You did get one?
Yep. You know what I do with the first fish though, right?
Don't let him go.
That's how I roll, man.
No, you're not doing it.
First grayling of the trip.
Look at that. He's right in the belly. Food, right there.
Food that goes back in the water.
Why do you do that?
Because I always let the first one go, man. If I give back, hopefully they give back to me.
Casey's time-honored tradition flares Chris's nerves.
Give back? What are they going to give to you?
Don't you worry about the
They got nothing
fish.
to give you. Food is what they give you. That's why you catch them.
He's gonna go tell all his little buddies out there.
Yeah, well, you can tell all his little buddies to catch onto your little line there, because you let another one go.
Letting the first meal of the trip swim back into the water is a bold move. What was a sure source of protein
if my
is
theory's
gone within
proven right.
seconds.
I don't understand what they can give back to you. They're giving you food. That's the whole point of a fish, is it gives you food, gives you protein, and you let it go. That's great. That's sweet. Good. Well, I get the first one then. If he's small, I get him.
Oh, come on. Why is this fish not rising?
This segment of Dropped is presented by PSE. Experience PSE. Experience performance. ScentLock. Proven deadly. Gorilla. For the toughest jobs on planet Earth. And Wiley X Eyewear. Absolute premium protection in the field. Having stopped for the night on their quest for the next cache, Chris's temper is flared after Casey's superstition let the first solid meal slip back into the water. He's been nervously searching for another fish ever since.
Hey, Chris,
What?
told you don't worry about it.
Better caught a second one. Your fish gives back. Well, that one's given right here, so don't be throwing the second one away. That's a beautiful fish, though. What are they sucking? With dry flies?
I just threw a mayfly on. I saw those mayflies when we were floating and figured, give it a whirl. Big and slow, they'll eat them.
Boy, you're lucky they took a second one.
Yeah?
Yeah, don't even think about it.
How's the fire going?
I got enough kindling, got enough stuff going right now, we're dialed. And I found 2 old willows. We can use them for poles. We're just gonna kind of whittle them down a little bit, but no more ping pong, and we can use them, so.
That's better than nothing.
Now I'm just gonna dig out a little pit and try to get that flint going.
Okay. Well, I'll try and pick one, at least one more off here.
All right.
See how we do.
Casey's persistence has paid off, but they still have to cook the fish. It takes time to build a proper fire, something the brothers are losing every second as the sun dips toward the horizon.
So we'll see what we can do here. Casey's catching some fish, so hopefully he got another one for himself. All right, well, we got this tinder and flint in the cache. I'm gonna see if we can't get a fire going with it. Key is I'm gonna start extremely small, see if I can build it. It's just a matter of building a little bit of a nest.
An experienced hand of a bush-savvy hunter makes the process look easy. Chris and Casey have spent countless days honing their skill set, an ability they must always keep sharp or risk facing more cold nights.
Oh yeah, we got fire.
All survival situations call for compromise. While tonight's camp lacks shelter, it does offer food, water, and a solid source of fuel for fire.
Heat, like literal heat. So we can cook food when we find it, like the grayling Casey's catching. Those are two things that we need after a long day of rowing like that, and we got them both. This is now my favorite camp.
Fire tonight means food and heat throughout the long, cold night, an essential element that will replenish the brothers' energy for the next day's journey.
You know, grayling, they don't have a pile of meat on them. They got a lot of bones, but when you're out here in the middle of nowhere and you don't have anything, they sure as hell do the trick.
Known as the Lady of the Stream, the Arctic grayling is symbolic of the clear, cold streams of the northern wilderness. A relative of the salmon, it can live up to 32 years. These voracious feeders can grow up to 24 inches and 5 pounds. Casey's catch is a far cry from these numbers, but any amount will do after 2 days on an empty stomach. Fish as a food source provides a high-protein, low-fat content that will sustain them, but only temporarily. The intense workload of surviving in the wilderness demands a high-fat diet that the brothers can only attain from red meat, something they can only dream about tonight.
How's that feel?
Oh, warming my hands, everything. I mean, it's absolutely glorious.
I need to warm my hands back.
Well,
Prolonged exposure to cold water has sent Casey's body into survival mode. His brain is forcing the blood vessels in his extremities to constrict in order to redirect the warm blood to the body's internal organs. This process protects his core temperature, but it also results in frigid fingers and toes.
That water's got to be 38 degrees, 40 degrees.
yeah.
Something like that. This is a good little spot.
This is a phenomenal spot. I mean, it literally has everything we've been looking for.
Yeah.
You know what? This is 6 trees, but I feel like we're
6 more than we've
we're
seen
gonna
in a
run
while.
more and more into that all the way down.
I mean, the further down we get, the more rivers are starting to flow in, the more drainages and creeks.
Camping here for the evening allows the brothers to rest, but it also means they will only have 4 hours of daylight tomorrow to reach their second cache.
Try to get up and get out in the morning, don't you think?
Oh yeah, but I'm not sleeping more than 4 foot away from this. I'll just get a pile of wood and we just sleep right here. It's amazing what a fire will do for somebody out here. I mean, it totally just brings back everything that you missed.
Just having that heat is awesome because when the sky was open, it was cold. It was really, really cold.
Casey pulling out a couple grayling was awesome.
Keep eating fish and picking our way along this river. I'm not really worried about the food thing, but oars. I mean, I never thought it would be that hard to row down a river without oars.
It's proven to be pretty difficult thus far, but now that we have some push poles, we're able to kind of bounce around a little better.
You know, you never know what's around the next bend, and that's part of what drives me, I think, when I'm out here.
We haven't hit tree line yet, so I feel like we're gonna run into a lot more animals down there.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. Over 150 million years ago, much of Alaska was nothing but a shallow sea. Things changed after a drifting tectonic plate sank its teeth into the Arctic shelf. The plate's ceaseless advance over countless centuries has forced the bedrock to buckle and rise, building the Brooks Range we know today. The drastic shifts in elevation define the landscape, a trait that many of the range's residents have become accustomed to, even dependent upon, something the Kiefer brothers are all too aware of as they struggle to escape the shallow rivers of the open tundra. Chris and Casey Kiefer are fighting a shallow river in their race to beat the rapidly approaching Arctic winter, surviving on a meager meal of fish and with little protection from the sharp winds and freezing temperatures. The brothers were forced to break camp early to drag their raft over 2 miles before ice and snow choked the river. They have another 2 miles to validate their second cache, with hopes of acquiring a few more precious tools to help survive a harsh Alaskan winter.
That's what I wanted, weather and water. Chris and I chose to bow stern our way down through this high, skinny water. It's actually a really good method to move through this skinny stuff because you can get in and out of the boat really quick and really easy. When the boat comes down and it drops over a rapid, as the bow gets closer to shore and Chris pushes off, what that does is that actually spins the boat on its axis like this toward the shore a lot harder.
Every impact threatens to damage the raft, which could leave the brothers stranded.
So far, we've been going through this skinny water, getting out of the tundra, but we're picking our way through.
The surging river is a good sign that the brothers are steadily making their way out of the barren high country.
It's definitely dropping in elevation because we're getting more ripples right now.
When you look back there, you can see it. See the layers, like down, flat, ripple, flat. It comes all the way through there.
The rivers that flow on the south side of Alaska's Brooks Range start in high elevation. As they flow towards the valley below, the river's gradient will vary. Oftentimes, areas of relatively low gradient only drop a few feet in elevation per mile. In other sections, the river will drop drastically over a short distance and will turn a once calm river into turbulent rapids. These unpredictable and fast-moving sections of the river are oftentimes littered with large boulders that can prove fatal to a raft or a rafter. In stretches like these, rafting can turn violent in a matter of seconds.
It's had to drop 20 degrees since we started rolling.
Oh yeah, the wind's got some bite.
Freeze. All the more reason to get to this cache. We're running tight.
Yeah.
So I say we just hammer up.
Welcome to Alaska.
Let's roll.
Hold on, let me get up here.
Thank God we have the raft.
The Kiefer brothers broke camp prior to daylight in order to get a jump on the storm. Changing river flows and gradients have plagued the morning float and only compounded their troubles on the water, but they're about to reach a critical point. The water is beginning to pick up speed, allowing them to cover long distances in short bursts. However, it will also mean equally long distances of calm, shallow water. Without oars to propel them, these calm sections of the river will eat away at valuable time, something they can't afford to waste if they hope to validate their second cache.
Woo! Good little section of fast water.
A steep drop in elevation has rocketed the brothers almost a mile down the river through a fast stretch of water littered with boulders, a narrow escape that has made up valuable time.
So, first snowfall, first couple of stands of good spruce. All in all, feels pretty good. Feels good to get down out of that high country, man. Get down into here where we got some trees. Gives us a little sense of shelter and way better for a fire. We have had to navigate some rapids for sure and some rocky sections, but we're making do, we're getting by, rolling down the river.
Come on.
The river's gradient has bottomed out. The slow, shallow water means Chris and Casey will be forced to drag the raft the last half mile. This segment of Dropped is presented by Cabela's, It's in Your Nature, Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend, and Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. The Kiefer brothers are fighting the river as they battle the elements in search of their second supply cache. With limited vision in the face of a blizzard and only 14 minutes left to find and validate the cache, the brothers must be extra vigilant in their search.
They're saying we're at the coordinates right now.
A lot of good that does us.
As the brothers struggle to maintain a healthy internal temperature, their bodies use up resources that would otherwise be available for mental processes. As a result, the mind is more likely to make mistakes or choose the easy option rather than the correct one. Everyday decisions can quickly become life-threatening scenarios because of the extreme environment they find themselves in.
Baby. Right here. Cash. Oh, it's like Christmas morning. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna validate. Yeah, send that in, dude. I'm getting into this thing. Get it? Okay. Sent. Cash validated. Covered in rock.
That was one of the coldest nights I've ever spent. It's proven to be pretty difficult thus far.
It's been 2 days since the brothers were dropped in the high Arctic tundra, having covered 12 river miles over tough terrain and in freezing temperatures with minimal gear. The brothers have successfully found and validated their second cache.
Oh, we got a frame pack. Got something in it. Fingers are just freezing. Salt. Tag bags and salt. Seriously? You gotta be more than that. What else? Is there any other pocket? No, nothing on the inside. Oh, there's something in here. Rangefinder. Oh boy, you know what that means. Hoping that thing. If there's a rangefinder, we got a gun. Oh, some skinning knives. How do we not get oars? Come on. Oh, baby. What? They're folded up in there. Oars. Yes. Yes. Looky. What kind of gun are we working with? 4 bullets. 4 bullets? 4. There's gotta be more bullets than that. I'll check every pocket.
Only 4 bullets will leave little room for error.
270 Win, short mag. Oars, huge. Salt and tag bags, and a tarp.
The brothers' second supply cache proves critical for taking down big game. The meat care kit contains iodized salt, synthetic game bags, and skinning knives. These items will help prepare and preserve game meat and hides for several weeks, if they can find game. With the addition of oars, the raft kit is finally complete, and the brothers can now travel safely downriver at a quicker pace. The rifle kit contains a Model 70 270 short magnum rifle, 4 ballistic silver-tip bullets, a 4-to-12x50 rifle scope, and a rangefinder. These items will afford the brothers the opportunity to take down big game from a distance.
Those oars are going to be huge because I'm done with the sticks and the rowing. We got oars now.
Finding oars in the cache means less time spent on the river, valuable time the brothers can spend searching for food.
Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, cache validated. Your next cache is located 15 miles downriver. That's 15 miles far. That's far. So at this point, with this weather, I say we just keep moving and try to find a spot for this evening. Since we got more daylight. I'm not camping here, no way. All right, let's just keep rolling, dude. We're already in it. Best way to stay warm is to keep on pushing. Let me get this all buttoned back up. So they got a frame pack. Put that in there. Where's that rangefinder? I don't have it. I think I put it back. Yeah, it's back. The salt and the tag bags is great. It just means we can take something down. What we should do is just lay this stuff, and then let's just tarp it. Yeah.
Tarping the raft will protect what little gear the brothers have by keeping it dry.
It's a good tarp, too. Hey, you want to throw your stick? Yeah. Look at that stupid. It's very invigorating. Down. Success, man. Cache 2 down. All right. Man. Let's keep moving. I'm starting to get chilly. All right. Look at that. Tell you what, winter's coming fast. It's Alaska, baby. That's how she rolls. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Oh. Oh. Ah. Yes. Perfect.
As the sun peaks in the sky on the brothers' 3rd day in Alaska, the cloud cover burns off, taking the winter storm that has barraged them all morning with it. The elation of finding oars in their second cache is short-lived, as they find themselves in shallow water. As the day drags on, the brothers' pace continues to lessen. This morning's push to the cache sapped their reserves, and they find themselves running on fumes.
It's just wild how when you're flying in here, everything looks so tame and so peaceful from the air or from a distance. The land looks level and flat. The river doesn't look too daunting, and then you get down here. There's nothing flat about it. The rivers are nasty, but that's what we sign up for, you know? It's not the postcard you see, it's the real deal.
This whole time, Casey and I have been kind of going down this river. We're looking to see if we can't pick up some protein along the way. The thing about the tundra is it's so vast, and then out of nowhere, you'll run into a herd of caribou, or you'll see a moose, and you're like, where did he come from? But it's a little discouraging when you can see 5 miles in all directions, and you don't see anything.
Warmer temperatures take hold as Chris and Casey slog their way through a long, flat stretch of river. Their primary goal now is to reach tree line, where food will be more prevalent.
Hey, Chris, right there. What's on that left bank? What? What? Where? What is it? Hey, it's a bear. He's coming this way. Keep your eyes on him. Hey, bear! It's like 150 yards. If we lose him in this tall brush, it's going to be brutal.
Standing over 12 feet tall, an adult male grizzly in the fall can weigh more than 1,200 pounds and run up to 40 miles per hour over long distances. Their paws have 4-inch claws that are specialized tools to dig up roots, even in frozen ground. They are strong enough to kill an adult caribou in a single blow, and their bite force is over 1,200 psi, strong enough to crush a bowling ball. These bears that call Alaska home are known to roam several hundred miles. Losing sight of him now means Chris and Casey risk stumbling upon him somewhere downriver.
Hey, bear! Hey, you see him? No. What the hell?
Hey, bear! Came down the hillside right at us. And now we have no idea where he is. The problem is where we last saw him is right there. This river bends and goes right by there. We're just taking our time, just gonna kind of talk out loud, yell at him.
There are more than 30,000 bears in Alaska. Meeting one up close is something the brothers always try to avoid.
Stay alert.
Grizzly bears are found in many different habitats across North America. They are normally solitary animals and not typically territorial. However, they are known to congregate where food is plentiful. A grizzly attacking a human is uncommon, but their temperament can easily change if cornered, surprised, or a mother's cub is endangered. This is not the first encounter the brothers have had with grizzlies, nor will it be the last threat the brothers must always be aware of when traversing the wilds of Alaska. With a bear in the immediate vicinity, Chris and Casey are forced to continually stop and check their surroundings with each new bend in the river.
We just want to see what's ahead of us. Anytime you can use the land to kind of get a grasp of what's up in front of you, you got to do it. Especially with a bear in the area.
For once, I'm glad there's no trees. We can see for miles.
The brothers make use of a small hill to see out and around their surrounding location, also known as glassing. This vantage point allows the brothers to see for miles in all directions, as they hope to spot the grizzly before it spots them.
But we just seen him if he's gone. Yeah, but the grass is real tall here. Look at those mountains, man. They're closing in all around us, though.
The brothers have reached an almost impassable section of the range and have come face to face with a full-grown male grizzly bear shortly after validating their second cache. Steep mountains flank the sides of the river and force any traveling animal into the only passable area for miles, known as a choke point. Animals in the surrounding area will be forced to funnel into this concentrated chute, making it a prime hunting habitat. But the presence of a grizzly reaffirms that the brothers aren't the only ones on the hunt. Predators have learned to take full advantage of terrain changes like this and are known to congregate where prey is plentiful. Finding this choke point increases the brothers' chances of attaining red meat, but it also means they must be more cautious than ever, as they are now in direct competition for food with the area's resident predators.
Nothing. We should probably get going, huh?
Wait, what's that?
What?
Dude. There's the caribou, right there.
The caribou is back upriver, where the brothers last spotted the bear. This segment of Dropped is presented by PSE. Experience PSE. Experience performance. ScentLock. Proven deadly. Gorilla. For the toughest jobs on planet Earth. And Wiley X Eyewear. Absolute premium protection in the field. Chris and Casey have spotted a lone caribou wandering the open tundra, but they must act fast. The brothers must hurry back to the raft to re-equip before he moves out of range.
We just spotted a caribou up on the side of the hill. Thing is we don't want to go hammering up through there with our waders on, because if you tear your waders, they're worthless. We got like a perfect wind right now. Gosh, we got that rifle. We don't have a lot of bullets. Gotta make the shots count. I'm ready to go. All right, let's go.
The longer the brothers are away, the greater the risk of them losing track of him. Caribou hair matches perfectly against the backdrop of the open tundra, acting as a camouflage against predators.
Is he still there? Right there to the left. He's going left or right, see him? Hey, what's the range on him?
There are many factors the brothers must take into consideration before taking a shot: pressure, velocity, and distance. The primer found in a bullet spits fire, creating gas and increasing pressure that launches the bullet forward within a millisecond. The weight of the bullet and the pressure acting upon the bullet determines both its velocity and distance. As the bullet leaves the muzzle, wind, air, and gravity impact its energy and trajectory, slowing it down and arching its path. Adding in wind direction and a moving target makes it that much more difficult. A strict code of ethics will not permit the brothers to take a poor shot, even in these extreme circumstances.
196.
196. Shoot him for 200. Where'd he go? I don't know. All I can see is white. And it disappeared. Right there. See his head just popped up. Yeah, he's right there. See him? All right, he's standing up. Got him. Hold up. He turned his body.
Caribou are one of the only mammals that can see ultraviolet light, a rare ability that allows them to spot predators across long distances. Combined with the vast emptiness of the tundra, gives the caribou a distinct advantage over the brothers.
He was quartering too, and he spun. Look, and he knew we were here. Oh yeah, he's looking right at us. Did he go in that creek? Yep. Oh, okay, he's like a day away already. Oh, I hope the bear doesn't get him.
Having spotted the brothers, the caribou has taken refuge in a small creek almost 500 yards back upriver. But the creek is a double-edged sword. There is nowhere else for the caribou to avoid detection, and the thick cover in high banks will allow the brothers to move undetected. If they can make their way around the front side of the creek, they may have another shot. But they must also be aware that a grizzly bear still lurks in the immediate area. Without the luxury of the river to help them, the brothers are forced to cover 500 yards on foot with all of their gear. They can only hope the trek will be worth its weight in red meat.
Work this way, right?
The brothers must also keep their eyes open for the bear that could still be lurking in the area.
I say we creep in here right now, but I don't want to like dive in there. Why don't we just walk up and let our wind blow? Whoa, 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 whoa. He just stood up. Check him.
A white wolf was lurking in high brush around the creek, stalking the caribou, or the brothers.
Wow, shaking. Look at that. I took 3 steps backwards.
Chris is fortunate to still be in one piece after such a close encounter.
He just got up right there. I don't know if he's coming at me or if he's charging or what, but at this time, I'm not messing around.
Dude, he knew we were here long before we knew he was here.
That second shot dropped him right there in his tracks.
He was just laying right down in here, or what?
Just kind of stood up behind this stuff and looked, just when he stood up and looked at me, and I just popped off one, and he just kind of folded, and the second one he just dropped.
Well, I heard you yelling, and the next thing I know, you're shooting.
Freaked me out when I turned around, and that's all I saw.
The wolves that roam the remote corners of Alaska are some of the most lethal and efficient hunters on Earth. Generally found in packs that consist of 6 or 7 animals, wolves are social carnivores that rely on numbers to take down prey 5 times their size. Oftentimes, due to relatively high birth rates, a pack of wolves must continuously be on the hunt. In most of mainland Alaska, moose and caribou are their primary food source, with small animals like squirrels, beavers, and snowshoe hares supplementing their diet. An efficient pack of wolves is capable of taking down large game every few days, especially when the ground is snow-covered. This high rate of predation can have drastic effects on the reproduction rates of moose, caribou, and even Dall sheep. Alaska is home to an estimated 11,000 wolves, and they have never been considered either endangered or threatened. Checks and balances are in place to control the wolf population. If left unmanaged, this super predator would devastate Alaska's wildlife.
Today was a hard day, but it was well earned. You know, ever since we entered this valley, we started to see, signs of caribou kills up in the hills. You know there's wolves around.
You know, you get in those situations, and that animal in particular is so unbelievably skilled. I don't know, it's a humbling experience.
We're not survivalists. We're not guys that, claim we know everything about being out here. We're big game hunters that love to test ourselves.
But just being able to see caribou tonight and not be able to pull the trigger, just watching that food go by is pretty hard. If anything I've learned, it's that you got to take it as it comes.
We spent a lot of energy today going up there, but that's how we roll.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. Deep in the Brooks Range of Alaska, the natural elements are a constant display of unpredictable weather shifts and sheer strength. This volatile and desolate landscape is brimming with dangerous obstacles. The elements are capable of wiping out or wearing down most everything in their path. The Kiefer brothers are feeling the effects of Mother Nature's suffocating grip as they battle to escape with basic gear and minimal calorie intake. Shock, adrenaline surges, hard-worn miles, and a meager diet can all lead to pure exhaustion, an impossible state for the brothers to maintain if they hope to continue covering ground.
Well, here we are, floating on today's adventure down the river. It's been interesting, no doubt. But we're starting to get into timber, starting to get into some high bank. The weather's changing. It's warm, and then it's snowing. That's Alaska for you right there. Hot, then snow. Hot, then snow. Seems to be the theme right now. So, kind of prepared for anything. Keep on rolling down, trucking down the river. Looking forward to seeing what's up ahead of us. Looks pretty good. We'll see.
A cold front has settled in and the temperature has dropped below freezing. Rather than face another winter storm on open water, the brothers decide to conserve body heat by stopping to build a fire.
The fire is a complete spirit lifter, man.
Prolonged exposure to freezing temperatures can quickly result in frostbite.
Finally starting to get a little bit warm and my fingers are getting cold.
I'm starting to lose the ore because my hands are starting to freeze up, so this is the right call.
Jump back in the raft and slide off the side of it because it was friggin' icy and snowy.
Yeah.
It's been 5 days since the brothers were inserted on the high Arctic lake. They've covered over 15 river miles since their journey began and have tackled freezing temperatures, shallow rivers, and come face to face with more than one predator. The sparse number of fish they've eaten along the way has kept them going, but barely. Exhaustion is starting to set in. However, they have finally worked their way out of the barren tundra. In lower elevations, timber is more prevalent. Perfect moose country.
Kind of over the rafting part right now, man. I'm sore, feeling a little bit weak. Wouldn't mind looking around and see if we can't get some more food, maybe catch a few grayling. Let's just kind of camp.
Do a little bit of hunting from here. Spruce country starts to turn into moose country, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got all the proper tools to do it. If we can just get some elevation, maybe do some glassing.
The brothers desperately need red meat if they hope to survive the rest of their journey.
I mean, I can certainly try for grayling and we can fish forever, but you know how that goes. We've done it before, man.
Yeah, but we still have, I mean, we got the pole now, we got the rifle now, we got a tarp.
We got options.
Yeah, so at least we have options that allows us to take our time now and kind of...
Starting to rain again.
This weather has been all over the map. I mean, geez, oh man, we got snow, we got 50 degrees, and we're back to snow again and rain. It's been a mixture of everything.
And the wind doesn't help.
I know, it's getting ridiculous.
The immune system is the body's natural defense against dangerous pathogens. This complex network of organs, tissues, and cells battles foreign bacteria, viral infections, and parasites. Drastic changes in body temperature, sleep deprivation, and inadequate nutrition are all factors that contribute to a weakened immune system. Something as simple as a common cold can turn into a killer if Chris and Casey can't find a way to revitalize themselves.
Funny though how you get up in here and you get actually off the river a little bit, like down, you know what I mean?
I feel like we ought to just take the time and maybe set up a little bit of a shelter right here. I mean, there's no reason to push it right now. We're getting into good country.
The thing is getting that rifle was huge because now we actually have the ability to go out and hunt, get elevation, do a little hunting.
I'm down. Let's drag the raft over, and then once we get the raft over here, we can kind of figure out how we're going to set this up. We keep this fire going and just
definitely keep the fire going.
Restarting the fire would be nearly impossible if it were to rain heavily.
Build this up a little bit, and we'll go to work. See if we can't get a shelter before this rain. I don't want to get any wetter than I already am. Oh, toes are still numb. And it's snowing again.
This segment of Dropped is presented by Cabela's, It's in Your Nature, Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend, and Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. The Kiefer brothers are facing an Alaskan winter without adequate shelter. They must piece together what little equipment they have to try and build a sturdy structure that will keep them out of the elements.
Oh, let's just carry all this stuff over.
Carry the raft over first.
Just leave it all in here.
Yeah.
It's all staying dry right now.
Well, I was thinking if we take this raft, we can set it on that backside.
Yeah.
And then wrap that tarp up and around it.
Yeah.
Give us a little break on the backside.
All right, let's get it over there.
Chris and Casey must drag the raft close to 30 yards from the bank of the river to their fire. A gauntlet of bushes and rocks threatens to damage their only mode of transportation on the way. Hunger and fatigue make the chore that much more grueling. The raft will be a key piece in building their shelter and will act as a windbreak.
Use one of these oars as a ridge pole right there.
Yeah.
Across those branches. And run the tarp up and
I was
across.
thinking that we could use it on both ends, but like tie it up to hold it up at the end.
Each brother has a different opinion on how the shelter should be built.
I think when we get the raft kind of as a back, you know, like as a windbreak. Try not to get anything wet.
Yeah. Put this over there.
All right. Keep that covered.
I was trying just kind of
Slide it in.
Yeah, just watch for sharp sticks.
Yeah, we don't want to poke it. Yeah. We'll be in trouble.
The tree branches will support the raft and keep it upright. But with reward, there is also risk.
Carry it in. Flip it up. Yep.
Should be good. You got enough coverage down there?
Perfect. All right.
Fingers are getting cold again.
Here, take this around back and then I'll grab it from the front. Yep. You might be able to tuck it on the back side of that.
If you can grab that and start to get it through, then I can probably tuck it right here. Yeah, we're all the way up at the top of the raft already.
The tarp is too small to cover the entire raft.
You know what I mean? Turn it long and skinny.
That's all we need right there.
Yeah, no, but we're not going to be able to tuck it underneath.
Can we just lash it down?
I'm going to have to lash it to that tree and lash it to this tree.
What if we took that rope and lashed it to rocks out the back?
We could.
Exhaustion and hunger is sapping Casey's patience.
Pull the whole front tight like this and use the oars up front. But let's secure the back so it's 100% tight.
Okay. Something anyway.
So we're trying to build this shelter out. Just kind of going through this paracord. We're going to build a little bit of a lean-to and use what supplies have been given to us.
My only concern is cutting paracord. I don't like cutting paracord ever.
I only want to use what we have to use because I don't want to have to cut it in half and then, you know, down the road go, oh, I wish I really had more rope.
I mean, you can always splice it back together and tie it back together, but we're not really going to have a choice, so.
Large stones will anchor the tarp to the ground and hopefully prevent it from blowing away.
Yeah, here's the end of it right here. I don't want to cut it, but we have to cut a section.
Cut some of it.
As tight as we possibly can. Be like that. So if you want to tie that up, I can pull all the slack through. Yeah, that should be about right there. At least we can anchor it with these rocks. Once that's secure, I'm going to cut right here tie it and then we can adjust the rock tension on the back. Get that. Okay. There, that's going to be good right there.
Yep. All right, let's do the same thing in that next corner.
Okay. Okay.
And then once we put pressure on those fronts,
It'll pull it tight.
Still gonna need some sort of ridge pull, I think. But on this one?
Yeah. Here, you want to take this one? Yeah. I'm thinking we can go through here and then just tie it to like up by the oarlock scenario.
The oars will act as poles and extend the tarp out to become the roof.
Do the same thing over there. All right, you want to weave it through?
Chris and Casey must secure the tarp as best they can. High winds could easily blow it away, taking the brothers' shelter along with it.
I have it just tied to the oarlock.
With it tethered to the oar, gonna give it some weight so that if the wind picks up again, it's not gonna blow the front of it. Got some of that lower dead stuff we can break off too for wood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's nice under here, man.
Now we can build a reflection wall to bounce some of that heat right back at us.
The addition of a tarp in the brothers' second cache has allowed them to build a makeshift shelter. Keeping the fire at a distance from the shelter is necessary, but by doing so, they lose precious heat. By building a retaining wall of stone roughly 12 inches high in front of the fire, the brothers are able to reflect the otherwise lost heat back toward their shelter. By blocking the back of the shelter with their raft, they are able to contain the heat even more. This addition will help keep the brothers warm through the night, a small reprieve that makes all the difference while sleeping in freezing temperatures.
This is the frame pack.
Yep. Get the fire going right here.
Yeah.
We're totally out.
That'll be good.
We got enough windbreak. Yeah.
Plenty of room for smoke to get out.
This is it, buddy. This is home for a little bit. The nice thing is we don't have far to go for elevation, so we can go up the backside, but cool. I like it. I like it. Take a load off and get warm.
And dry. Man, I'm hungry.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are waiting out an autumn rain in the heart of the Brooks Range. They've built a temporary shelter from limited gear. However, surviving on a diet of fish to this point means they must venture out and find food soon, or risk going hungry.
Heat's already staying in here.
Yeah.
At least we're out of it, man.
Oh yeah.
We got it up in time too. This rain's starting to hammer down. We got enough dry wood to last us a little bit. I say we just hang on and then maybe try and do some hunting.
I could do some hunting, man. We got all this elevation back here behind us. Take a little hike, even look for signs, see if we can find some tracks, find something, you know. I'm enjoying this right now, though.
Alaska is home to nearly 200,000 moose, with the most dense populations being found near the northern forests and timber plateaus. These primarily solitary animals are herbivores, surviving on aspen leaves, birch, willow, pondweeds, and grasses. They are surprisingly adept at swimming, even from birth, reaching speeds up to 6 miles per hour in the water. Many moose make seasonal moves between calving, rutting, and wintering grounds. These movements can cover anywhere from a few miles to as many as 60. Wolves, black bears, and brown bears are the moose's primary predators. With any luck, Chris and Casey will join this list, an accomplishment that would prove monumental in their quest to escape the Arctic. A lull in the rain has allowed the brothers to leave camp and survey their surroundings. They decide to split up to cover more ground, each with a specific task at hand.
You're gonna do some calling?
Yep.
Well, I'll go see if there's any bears left.
With over half a day ahead of them, the brothers are able to spend time scoping out the surrounding area. While Chris hopes to call any nearby moose, Casey gets the lay of the land and searches for edible plants. Blueberries are still in season, and they may be growing on a nearby hillside.
The season to be cow calling, but we're moving into moose country. There's timber that's starting to pop up all the way down this valley.
With no moose call afforded in either cache, Chris is forced to use his hands to mimic the cry of a cow in heat.
Sometimes it takes 2 and 3 days for one moose to come in. They can hear you from a long way. It's not like whitetail where you just grunt at them, they come running. It takes them a long way. There's a lot of ground, but they can hear you. So the key is consistency, continuing to call every half hour, 45 minutes. But I don't know what they're doing with this weather. I mean, it's 50 degrees one day and it's snowing the next, so they could be into full rut. They could be just getting kicked in. I gotta see what's happening, so the best place for me to do that is up high like this, where I can kind of really see what's going on, see the valley.
By cupping his hands together over his mouth and nose, Chris is able to achieve a wide range of amplified calls heard throughout the rut. Chris's index fingers come together to pinch his nostrils while swinging his head from one side to the other to mimic the pitch, tone, and direction of a live cow call. During the early stages of the rut, the calls are short and purposeful. During the heat of the rut, the calls are long, drawn-out moans. This method is also used to mimic the sound of a grunting bull, sparking the interest of any nearby challengers. If their calling efforts are successful, the brothers could earn an opportunity to take weeks' worth of meat with a single shot.
Normally I'd like to have an actual big moose call so you can get that sound out there. We don't have one, so it'll work for now.
This segment of Dropped is presented by PSE. Experience PSE. Experience performance. ScentLock. Proven deadly. Gorilla. For the toughest jobs on planet Earth. And Wiley X Eyewear. Absolute premium protection in the field. Chris and Casey Kiefer are facing an early Alaskan winter. Rain and freezing temperatures, combined with sheer exhaustion, have driven the brothers to ground in search of food, shelter, and rest. While Chris calls for moose from a nearby vantage point, Casey surveys the land in search of berries and plants.
Up here on the tundra, on these hillsides, a lot of times, what I like to look for is called colt's foot. It's just a little leafy vegetation that grows, but it's really good if you get sick out here. If you get, some sort of head cold or some sort of stomach cold, is you can take these leaves, you can mash them up and you can make a really good tea out of them. Unfortunately, winter is coming and winter is coming quickly, and every little leaf that I find is pretty much dead. And you definitely don't want to do anything when it's dead like this.
Without a steady supply of meat, food options become scarce in this remote landscape. At times, foraging becomes the brothers' only means for sustenance. A number of aggregate berries grow wild throughout Alaska's forests and woodlands, including strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. The inner bark of birch trees and the buds, needles, and stems of spruce can help sustain a hungry hunter when times get thin. Foraging becomes more difficult in the open tundra, with options being limited to small blueberries and the occasional cloudberry. A number of edible leafy greens pepper the mostly barren ground, but Chris and Casey must use caution. Some edible plant foods have toxic lookalikes. A misidentified plant can leave the brothers sick or even dead.
Still finding some last blueberries kind of hanging around up here in the tundra. Most of these berries seem to be on their last leg right now.
In late September, as the frost sets in, a blueberry bush is nearing the end of its yearly cycle. Any unharvested fruit will fall to the ground, decompose, and plant its seeds. In the spring, the plant will sprout and grow rapidly into a low shrub roughly 6 to 16 inches high. Their leaves are dark green, less than a quarter-inch long, and leathery with pinkish-white flowers. Fertilized flowers produce the familiar purplish-blue berry within a few weeks of blooming, typically around late July to August. As autumn sets in, their leaves turn purplish-red and their berries turn nearly black just before dropping. This food source is key to the survival of many of the range's inhabitants, and something the brothers have relied on time and again to get them by in a pinch.
Getting really soft and mushy, but that's not going to keep me from eating them. The one thing you don't want to do is eat a lot of blueberries on an empty stomach, because if you eat them on an empty stomach, it's going to give you a lot of gut rot. It's just going to turn your guts over and make things a lot worse. So. But you can tell winter's setting in. The tundra's starting to give less and less.
Clouds continue to swirl overhead as Chris and Casey hike to the peak of a nearby range. Having only found a few withering berries, the brothers can only hope Chris's calling session draws in any nearby moose. Hiking up the steep hillside will burn precious calories, but it may prove invaluable if they are able to spot big game in the area.
I like even having elevation so you can see into the...
I know, that's what I was saying, that ledge down there.
You know, where we can kind of get up like this and look down back into the timber.
Wow.
Upon reaching the ridge, the brothers realize they are in prime hunting habitat.
Look at that mouth down there.
Coming down that snow valley?
Anytime two rivers join like that, it's a hotbed. One's all the way down this backside right here, and the two of them are gonna join up there somewhere.
A meeting of two rivers, known as a confluence, draws animals in from both sides, doubling the brothers' chances at finding big game.
But this is all just picking up more and more timber. We're in the chips.
Now we just gotta make it down there. We can definitely talk about the weather, but it's Alaska, man. That's what we sign up for when we come up here. That's part of the fun, is not knowing what's coming next.
Today was a good day. We're just kind of breathing for the first time since we got here. It's just been running, gun, and a test all the way.
Getting down and getting into a significant amount of spruce trees where we can actually get shelter for the night. I can't tell you how huge that is.
There's things that we can do now with the tools that we've been given that we couldn't do before.
We are the only people on this river. The only people. And we're going for 100-some miles, and we're the only people that have touched this ground. It's just unfathomable. Those are the places that Chris and I set out to find. And so far, I'm having a hell of a time doing it.
We're kind of at the precipice of what's going to happen, and I'm excited about it.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock. As Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow, for the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. The Sun. A star in the center of our solar system burning close to 27 million degrees at its core. Its radiation and light sustains all life on our blue planet. A full rotation around the Sun's axis takes 365 days, but the Earth's axis is tilted, which means the amount of light each area of the planet receives varies in length. In Alaska this time of year, daylight is growing shorter, making life almost unsustainable. Chris and Casey Kiefer find themselves in the center of this monumental shift, armed with basic gear and a limited calorie intake. With the sun's departure, the brothers are more desperate than ever for a fresh supply of gear that will hopefully protect them from the harsh Alaskan winter as they make their way toward their third cache.
My hands are frozen. Let's go over here. Let's beach it.
The brothers are forced to stop and catch their breath. While Casey inspects the gear, Chris notices something along the bank.
Well, we stopped on the river for a second just to kind of get warm, shake it out. You're dragging your feet in the water all the time and start to get cold, so we gotta stop every now and then. And tracks are all over this bank. If we catch up to these bad boys, could be game on again. So for now, we get warm and we stay hot on the heels of the caribou, continue downriver.
It's been 4 days since the brothers reached their second cache. They have faced predators, rain, freezing temperatures, and hunger since then, but their fortunes are about to change. A meeting of two rivers, known as a confluence, lies a few miles downriver from the brothers' immediate location and in the general area of their second cache. A fresh supply of gear and prime hunting habitat could make all the difference in taking big game, something they desperately need if they hope to escape the Arctic winter bearing down on them. With only a few hours left to find and validate their third cache, the brothers must keep moving. Dragging close to 100 pounds of gear over another shallow section of river brings the brothers close to their breaking point.
Well, we wanted to come back to Alaska. At least these trees are helping block the wind.
North America is broken up into several different biomes, including tundra, taiga, deciduous, and many more. Deciduous forests are dominated by broadleaf trees such as maple, oak, and hickory. Characterized by its ability to shed its leaves, this biome experiences 4 distinct seasons. Conifers such as spruce and pine dominate the taiga biome. These trees retain their needle-like leaves all year round, allowing them to draw energy from the sun throughout the long, cold winter. Directly above the taiga is the tundra biome. Consisting mainly of lichens and mosses, this region receives such little sunlight that trees simply can't survive. The brothers have slowly made their way out of the tundra and into the taiga just in time. This stronghold of trees affords them protection from the devastatingly bitter winds and temperatures of the open tundra.
Finally smooths out.
Oh, good little section of fast water.
Yeah, I want to get to the cache, or find the cache.
The rapidly accumulating snow could make it difficult for the brothers to spot the cache.
We're at the confluence right here.
What's it saying?
I don't know. God, I hope I didn't blow past the cache.
Backtracking the river to find the cache would be nearly impossible. This segment of Dropped is presented by Cabela's, It's in Your Nature, Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend, and Winchester, celebrating 150 years of legendary excellence. Chris and Casey Kiefer are making their way downriver to their 3rd supply cache. However, freezing temperatures and a rapidly growing snow line are making it difficult to pinpoint the cache's exact location.
There's one Widowmaker in the middle. Good. Clear.
What's it say?
I don't know. It's all fogged up. I can't read it.
Right there.
Oh yeah, this is it, baby. Yeah. Oh, my hands are freezing. Finally. It's not very big, huh?
It doesn't look very big.
Oh, there better be something good in it. Oh, I gotta validate.
Ooh.
Well, you gotta use this stuff, huh?
Well, it's a little bit different when we're not up against the wire. Almost forgot.
If the brothers had forgotten to validate, any and all gear found in the cache would be useless to them.
Dude, this is a pretty good spot, man. Let's see what we got to our next cache.
Okay.
This is a pretty good spot.
Cache validated. Wait for a response.
What do you got?
Dude, it's caribou right there.
It's been 7 days since the brothers were dropped in the high Arctic. They've covered over 27 river miles since their journey began and faced predators, fluctuating weather, freezing temperatures, and lack
Most
of
of these
food.
berries seem to be on their last leg right now.
They have now successfully found and validated their 3rd cache.
Oh yeah, this is it, baby. Well, hallelujah.
Yep.
There's the bow. Get the PSC now.
Bow, 3 arrows,
Broadheads.
broadheads.
The addition of a bow will allow each brother to carry a mid to long range weapon.
We got the moose call.
Got the call.
Yes.
I was actually gonna start to try to make one, but we're not in any willow or anything.
No, now we can actually
Got another
rake.
pack.
Now I got a pack to carry. Ooh, baby.
We got a headlamp.
Yeah. Get to the goodies right there. I see.
A bag of citric acid.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. More bullets.
Perfect.
4 additional bullets increases the brothers' chances of taking big
One more.
game.
Look at that.
Snickers bar and oatmeal.
And 1, 2, 3, 4 packs of oatmeal.
A little taste of comfort provides just the lift the brothers needed.
The key is 1 Snickers, so we wrestle for it, or what's in the big one?
Grease.
It's gonna help shoot the bow. Can packs.
Packs.
Beautiful.
Tree saw.
More wood the better. We're in Timbertown.
Another set of binos.
Yes. All right, what else?
That's it.
Check every pocket.
Pretty good cash, dude. We got the bow, we got a release.
I'll take it all day long.
Camp axe, the saw, another set of binos so you can quit borrowing mine.
This is kind of nice here, this food here. Oh my God, that is gonna be a reward for a long day on the river, man.
Yep.
The brothers' third cache doubles their ability to find and take big game. With the addition of a second set of binoculars, the optics kit is complete, allowing both brothers to survey the surrounding area, effectively doubling their chances of spotting big game. The moose call will increase the brothers' vocal range and authenticity, and will hopefully allow them to call in any nearby moose. The bow kit contains a compound bow, 3 arrows tipped with broadheads, a quiver, and a release. These items, along with the rifle, allows both brothers to carry a weapon while hunting. The addition of an axe and a tree saw completes the fire kit. These critical items will allow the brothers to cut and stockpile larger chunks of wood for their fire, a necessity as winter sets in over the range.
This is a great little spot, man. We're at the confluence. We know how far we are down now.
The fact that we can both hunt right now, that's huge. We don't have just a rifle, we got the bow. We hunt together, one takes close, one takes far, we split up, we got options. That's the best
we
part,
got a lot
man.
of
That's the biggest thing we need when we're out here is options.
I think if we can, hold on here, it is. Cache validated. We've got 13 river miles to the next cache downstream.
We got time. We can spend a couple days here for sure. Especially because you know how it is, 2 rivers come together. Moose Haven, man. It's like a main highway.
All right.
Let's just stay right here. Looks like we got elevation on the backside right there too.
I can tell you this right now, we can get a fire going, get some shelter built, do some investigating, try and figure out what's going on around here. And then I'd like to lay everything out again at some point, maybe this evening, and just make sure we're not missing anything. But right now I'm feeling good, man. And this, now do you eat all 4 at one time, or do you just ease into them?
I'd say we ease into them.
Still gonna call shotgun on the Snickers.
Maybe that's a game time decision. What, you want me to watch this?
No, I don't need to put it in that bag. I don't want you to watch it.
Maybe I'll eat it all at once.
The Kiefer brothers' third supply cache was located at a junction of 2 rivers known as a confluence. These areas are proven to be a highway for animal movement, so the brothers decide to make camp a few yards from the cache's location.
I'm going up thinking right here. So much dead wood right in here.
Ample amounts of dead wood close to a camp makes sustaining a fire an easier process.
So we can just kind of take this top layer down. This is good soft ground right in here too that we can kind of rest up against.
With every new campsite, the brothers must reconstruct their shelter. Each new location has its own challenges and forces the brothers to adapt their shelter as needed. Rather than risk damaging the raft on the sharp dead wood, Chris and Casey decide to use an oar as a ridgepole.
My hands are so cold I can't even function. I'm trying to tie this up. I'm gonna make a ridgepole right in the center. Run the tarp from the bottom up and over, and then anchor it. I think what's going to be key about that is it'll give us a little bit of a slanted roof, which in the snow we're going to need. Tie up that side. It ain't going to be pretty, but you're going to work. Same back here.
What's that?
We can do the same back here. Is that going to give us enough?
Yep.
Oh yeah. All right, let's get some rocks.
We'll need a whole lot of room. It's just harder to keep warm.
We can get under there. We can get a fire going right here, right where you're kneeling. That'll just blow that warm right in there, and that backside's almost tarped all the way off.
That'll work.
That's it, man.
That'll work just fine. Oh, drop for that branch.
The brothers have made camp in prime hunting habitat. Animals will be drawn in from both sides of their camp as they travel south to escape the bitter cold of winter. As Chris mans the fire, Casey sets off to survey the surrounding area. A small mountain lies directly behind the brothers, giving Casey the perfect vantage point to glass the surrounding area.
That's how you know it's cold right there. This marsh is already starting to freeze up. I wanted to get back in here a little bit further. There's this big bowl right here, surrounded by this huge ridge. And now that we actually have a moose call, I'm gonna put this thing to use. Areas like this, moose love to rut in. These kind of big, open, marshy type areas, they're awesome for moose rut. And what's even better is we got a little bit of elevation on the side of it. If I had to guess, I'd say they use that saddle and come down into this river bottom where all these rivers come together, all these creeks, everything meets. It's kind of like a main highway for all different kinds of wildlife. So I feel good about this spot that we're in. I just want to get a closer look.
As Casey surveys the marsh, Chris stokes the fire and boils water for the evening.
We get to a new camp like this, Casey and I like to divide and conquer. And right now he's out checking the terrain. I'm staying back here trying to get this stuff ready. The key is not to let this fire go down. If I can build a good base of coals here, this water will boil a lot faster. You gotta boil the water out here. It's the only way that I can purify it. Up top, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you still wanna make sure you're super careful. Don't recommend drinking directly out of the river. But up top, you could pick these mountain streams that would come down flowing off the side that are just completely, absolutely untouched water. Now that we're in the confluence, it's muddier, it's a little bit dirty. It's just something that you gotta do.
Water can become contaminated with microorganisms, bacteria, and viruses that can potentially cause serious or fatal illnesses. Giardiasis, also known as beaver fever, is a common parasitic disease found in the waterways of the North Country. Simply filtering water will not remove all levels of risk, so Chris and Casey must sterilize their water by boiling for at least 5 minutes. This process will kill bacteria and parasites, making it safe for consumption, an extra step that could save a hunter's life when surviving in remote regions.
You can definitely see two main trails coming together.
Finding this game trail reaffirms that animals regularly travel the marshland.
Even caribou could do something like that, but to me that looks like moose. Anytime they travel through this stuff, they leave a pretty wide swath. They're a really big animal. It's a good sign, though.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are trying to escape an Arctic winter. Having found a main highway for animal activity close to their third supply cache, the brothers have set camp in hopes of finding big game.
That looks really good out that way. Heck, the sun's even coming out for a second. I don't know if I've ever seen such prime moose country, which is either a good thing or a bad thing.
Tundra skirts the edge of the boreal forest that the brothers find themselves in, meaning both moose and caribou could be in the immediate area. As Casey calls out from this location, he must always be cautious. As prey travels south, so do predators in search of their next meal, something the brothers have experienced firsthand once already this trip.
I want to give a couple of last moose calls before I get down off this hillside right here. Just echoes and echoes and echoes.
Sound is the energy created by moving or vibrating objects. This energy travels in the form of waves vibrating through a medium, like air or water. This energy can speed up, slow down, or be reflected back as an echo depending on its medium, temperature, air pressure, or if an object blocks its path. The denser the area, the shorter a wave can travel. If Casey hopes to call in any nearby moose, he knows he must gain elevation for his sound waves to travel the maximum range.
Oh, I can see your fire smoke from up there.
Well, I got a fire going good.
Yeah, I got up on that edge. That That little marsh right, gosh, that feel good. That little marsh right there.
Yeah.
There's trails cutting across it back and forth all the way through there, and then I hit that other edge. And I just went up that hillside probably 60 feet maybe.
Yep.
What a world of difference 60 feet makes. So between having this mountain right here and the river right there,
They got one spot to come.
they got one spot to come. What do you got there?
I got one of those oatmeal.
Oh, yes.
Here, I'll even give you the honors.
So I can burn my mouth first?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. This is oatmeal served with tree bark.
So much for the honors, huh?
Oh,
How's that?
oh, try that, man.
Let me guess. I can't guess. I can't smell anything. My nose is frozen.
It's maple brown sugar.
All I could think of right there was beautiful tree, isn't it, Audrey? She can't see, Clark. Her eyes are frozen shut.
I figured we could just have one, conserve it, you know. We got a long row ahead of us.
Oh, flavor.
Just comes down to that Snickers.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point,
Let's leave that alone.
we're
right
gonna
now.
arm wrestle, or we're gonna fight, or we're gonna do something for that Snickers. But hopefully it won't come into effect and we won't need it. Did you add extra spruce to this by the time I gave it to you?
It's actually hot in my stomach.
It doesn't taste like fish.
How is it in there? Nice and warm?
Yeah, it's actually really nice. It's a major difference in temperature when you're out there and compared to in here. Well, the boat's secure. We got enough firewood gathered for the night. Tomorrow we get up and we head up the mountain. This is Alaska. She will throw everything she can at you.
If she wants to fight us with weather, we're gonna fight back.
You know, both having a weapon now is absolutely huge.
We're gonna have to do our due diligence every time we stop from here on out. We gotta try and figure out as much as we can about the land that's around us.
We've got the opportunity at all kinds of animals that walk through here. We've got moose, we've got caribou, all of it's still in play.
This is pretty much a super highway for animals. I think this is the first time in the trip so far where everything is tipped in our favor.
It's always encouraging when you know there's multiple animals that you can take down while you're here.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock. As Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow, for the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. The porcupine caribou herd is one of the largest herds in Alaska, with numbers nearing 170,000 animals. This herd also completes one of the longest migrations on Earth, at roughly 400 miles one way. During the spring, the melting ice and snow signals pregnant cows to begin trekking north to their calving grounds along the Arctic coastal plains where food is plentiful and natural predators are limited. As summer approaches, the flies and mosquitoes become unbearably thick, driving the herd to higher ground in the Brooks Range, where wind and timber protects them from the bugs. The onset of autumn pushes the herd further south, as they utilize the mountain range as a barrier to protect themselves from the worst of winter's wrath. During their journey south, the cows come into heat, which sparks the bulls' desire to mate. Intense battles take place as bulls fight to earn their desired mates. As spring awakens, the cycle begins all over again. Understanding the travel patterns and life habits of the local caribou herd is essential to the Kiefer brothers' survival. A caribou would provide weeks' worth of meat, a necessity for the brothers to acquire if they hope to make it the rest of their journey. It's been 3 days since the brothers validated their third cache. They've exhausted their supply of oatmeal awarded to them, and fishing has been unsuccessful. With only 7 days left and 13 river miles to their next cache, the brothers must find game soon or be forced to leave the fertile hunting grounds empty-handed.
Keep the fire going.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Just get across this marsh.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just get up on that little hill.
That's fine. That's fine with me. Let's just get up there in glass. I don't think it's lightening up, you know?
Yeah.
We can see our visibility is much better.
Yeah.
Rampant snowfall has limited the brothers' field of view, even with optics, which makes it difficult to spot animals amongst the dense terrain.
Temperature's cooling down for sure.
Let's just see if we can't get some eyes on what lies ahead of us. Let's do it. Okay. Winter's setting in, man.
I'm not sure how much longer we stay here if we don't see something today.
Still have time, but we're running tight.
Yeah.
It's been 10 days since the brothers were inserted on the high Arctic lake. They've covered over 27 river miles since their journey began. They've faced tough terrain, fluctuating water levels, and predators along the way. Having let big game slip through their fingers on 2 occasions, their diet has mostly consisted of a few sparse fish, a handful of berries, and 4 small packs of oatmeal. As winter sets in over the range, the brothers will desperately need red meat if they hope to survive the rest of their journey.
Oh, come on. This marsh is brutal. It's hard to keep my footing.
Chris and Casey must cross a marsh to get to their vantage point. Oftentimes, the bottom of a bog consists of a thick layer of mud that can reach thigh-high. The brothers must be constantly aware of the ground shifting under their feet, or risk getting stuck in the mud.
I feel less.
Moose love this kind of stuff to rut in. I'm looking at habitat for moose when we're moose hunting. First off is vegetation. I'm always looking for vegetation, something that the moose can live off of. They love eating willows. Willows along the river provides adequate nutrition for them. There's piles of willow down through here.
Willows are the most common shrub in Alaska. This hardy plant comes in a number of varieties and is a food source to many of Alaska's wildlife in winter months. Willows are fast-growing, some putting on 3 to 4 feet of growth per year. They have long, narrow green leaves that contain more than 7% protein and produce antioxidants that boost the immune system. Finding a large willow grove is a good sign, as it is the primary food source of Alaska's largest animal, the moose.
Any little bit of elevation you can grab helps. Doesn't matter if it's 20 feet or 200 feet. Any elevation you can get in this country does wonders. It really gives you a lay of the land and lets you know what's beyond the spruce that you're staring at most of the day.
Hey, Chris, right there. What's on that left bank?
This whole group back here is coming this way.
A small herd of caribou have come down off the tundra. The brothers must quickly make a plan of action before this golden opportunity slips away.
Some of them are gonna split and go up, but the other ones are coming this way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we get down and go on the other side and just wait?
And at least if we get down and get across there,
Those low ones are low.
get a crack at one with a rifle or something.
That low group's making some ground right now. If we can get in that first section of timber right there, right across the river, we rode across, got to the other side, got in that timber right there.
And just ease our way over there.
We have a pretty good look at them, plus we can stay in the timber. Our wind's in our favor going that way.
I know we better hurry if we're gonna do it.
Let's roll.
The brothers have spotted a group of caribou traversing the tundra, but they're steadily moving downriver. Chris and Casey must hurry down the mountain, cross the marsh, forge the river, and stalk the herd before they can take a shot. The brothers must move swiftly but cautiously. Alerting the herd to their movement may spook them, driving them downriver even faster and potentially putting them out of range. The marsh forces the brothers to slow down, eating away valuable time that they need if they hope to intersect the caribou on the other side of the river.
Dude, we're only gonna have one oar.
Yeah, because the other one's up in the shelter.
Up at the shelter.
We can just kind of maybe go up, swing across.
Yeah.
There is no time to retrieve the oar, and with only one, the river's flow could easily sweep the brothers downstream, away from the caribou and their camp. To cross, they must first move upstream and walk the raft as far as possible before shoving off.
I'm gonna push out. Get in. You ready? Yeah. Getting deep quick though.
Falling in could lead to hypothermia in minutes. The caribou are still in the vicinity, but the brothers must cover over 100 yards quickly. Barren tundra sits between the brothers and the ridge, which is their only protection from the caribou's direct line of sight.
That's a lot of caribou.
What appears to be a small group of caribou from a distance has multiplied into a full herd with close to 200 animals.
Look at that, they're just all balled up.
I've never seen so many caribou in my life.
They're just covered in caribou right now. See those two staring right at us? That's not good. No, 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 no!
The caribou herd suddenly turned into a stampede, driving the animals further inland. The brothers must quickly regroup or potentially miss out on red meat yet again.
We cannot have 200 caribou and not walk away with one of these.
Man, when we came up, we were literally right on top of them. See that gut, that like creek gut running up there? Yeah. If we can get around to where we can at least see that. If they dump off this little ridge, we should be fine. Let's just stay below this berm right here.
Chris and Casey stalked the caribou to within a few hundred yards, but something spooked the herd, sending the animals into a stampede that drove them further inland. Forced to stop, regroup, and reassess, the brothers are now hastily moving downstream, following a ridge that will hopefully allow them to close the distance and remain undetected. The brothers can't risk startling the herd a second time, so drastic measures are necessary. They must crawl over 40 yards to cross an open section of tundra to avoid detection.
Winds are shifting. Let's make a beeline for that low spot.
Let's try and get to that yellow tree.
Like many animals, caribou rely on their nose for survival as well as communication. The brothers take every measure they can to combat the caribou's natural sensory advantage. The human body is constantly emitting odor as a result of bacteria found on the skin, breaking down sweat into acids. Wind can carry these odors in an animal's direction, potentially alerting them to a hunter's presence. The brothers' clothing incorporates activated carbon into its fibers, which acts like a sponge and is capable of absorbing a large spectrum of human odors. Combined with an effective camouflage pattern and controlled body movements, the brothers should be able to beat the caribou's sense of smell, sight, and sound.
The wind's perfect right now.
You're gonna have to just wait.
Adrenaline, hunger, and fatigue can make anyone impatient. The brothers know this feeling all too well, but they must have patience. It's unethical to fire into a herd for risk of injuring another animal, a moral obligation the brothers hold on to even in these extreme situations.
I think what they're gonna do is ease their way into here. When we get clear of them, then we'll take them. They get is there a bowl? We can't shoot him in a bowl because then everything's in jeopardy. You know, you end up with 3 of them. Oh, there's so many.
Yeah, I can't shoot into that group.
Just gotta wait till one singles himself out there.
You see that one lead?
A lead bull begins to separate himself from the herd.
All right, he's gonna break off right now, see him? He's working his way right.
He gets about another 20 yards, 30 yards.
I'm with you.
This could be the brothers' only opportunity for red meat.
I got him dead to rights.
A lone bull has started moving away from the herd. The Kiefer brothers must take the caribou down or risk surviving on the edge of starvation the rest of their journey.
That's him. He's open. He's broadside.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm on him. When you're ready, take him. Nice shot. Nice shot.
Hammer.
Oh, you hammered.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
High shoulder.
Oh, yeah. Hammered. Perfect. He's gonna go down right now. He's down.
We got food. Look at this. Look at that pile of caribou right there. Look at that. We got food, boys. I knew it. I knew we were getting red meat down here. It feels so good. That feels so good.
Dude, I've never seen so many caribou in a herd before.
That is what elevation does right there. If we weren't able to get up there and get elevation, we'd have never seen those caribou. Never. They'd have come right through here. We'd have had no idea they were even here. This snow's had to have pushed them down out of that high country. We got red meat.
I'd love to shoot one right now because I have not got a caribou yet, but I'm not even thinking about it because that's a lot of work and we got food. There's no reason to just hammer down for no reason, you know?
You come up here and frickin' claw tooth and nail for every inch, and then you get an opportunity like that right there. Just plops in your lap.
Dude, oatmeal was good. Caribou, backstrap.
Enough said. Now the hard work begins.
I don't even care. Like, the hard work means meat in our hands, which means we are living the high life.
There he is.
Nice shot, man.
Check that out.
Dude, what a beautiful animal.
That is awesome. Look at that.
Bad rack either.
Nope.
Oh, man. That was so awesome to play out.
That was crazy.
It's one of those things where once we saw them from up high, they seemed so far away.
Oh, I know.
But by the time we crossed the river and got up, it was like, hey,
There.
they're here. Like,
Right.
It's that fast.
Right on top of him, man.
Huh?
Yeah, dude. That is an awesome, awesome animal.
By the time we made our way, they were moving, and it was a herd of them.
It's a lot of caribou.
It is the Kiefer brothers' ethical and legal responsibility to salvage all of the edible meat from this caribou. To do that, they must meticulously process the animal. First, they must remove the internal organs and the hide with a number of strategically placed cuts. The meat is then removed using a methodical 3-sweep method. The first sweep removes both hindquarters, front shoulders, neck meat, and back straps. The second sweep removes the brisket, flanks, and rib meat, while the third sweep removes any small remaining meat trimmings. If they can ward off spoilage, this animal should give them the energy they need to survive the rest of their journey.
We can get him up here in a little dry spot, get him caped out, quartering him,
Yeah.
hauling him. The good thing is it's not that far. Still gonna be a hike, but it's not that far.
Yeah, it's not gonna be bad.
The brothers move forward in silence, as they have so many times before. Together, they function like clockwork, each of them knowing exactly what to do to properly complete this process and earn their reward. The thrill and adventure brings them to Alaska, but the meat from a successful hunt is what allows them to stay. This caribou will sustain them for weeks, providing the fuel they need to keep covering ground. The brothers know there's still work to be done as they pack up their meat and head back to camp. But for now, they'll focus on re-energizing with a well-deserved meal.
It's pretty clean, actually. Good. Neck. Should be all of it. Yep.
When we do a trip like that, I'll grab what I can with my hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, give me that little one.
The promise of food tonight lifts the brothers' spirits. Their bags seem light, and the trek back to camp easier.
That was a really long day. But we were able to get that caribou skinned, quartered, and packed out. There's about a half hour of daylight left to spare, so I'm gonna get a fire going here, and we are gonna eat caribou tonight.
Grabbed a little bit of love here tonight. The tenders. This is what I've been waiting for right here. This is so huge to have this. The best part right there, the tenderloins. It's getting late. It took us forever to get that stuff across that tundra. That was a pack job. Try to keep it as clean as you possibly can while you're out in the bush, while you're getting it out. Don't normally dip it in water, but because it's going right on the fire, I gotta make sure it's super clean. Casey's starting a fire. It's getting late. We're trying to get all this stuff done before dark. It's one of those things that you don't want to be stuck next to a meat cache in the middle of the night. I'm starting to get a little lightheaded right now, just from all those calories that we just burned. This is going to be a huge, huge advantage right here. You reap the benefits of our reward right there.
Yeah, buddy.
You got some meat right here.
Oh, I got your little stick.
Nice. Oh, good fire you got.
This is tenderloin, isn't it? I could tell as soon as you handed it to me, I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm gonna destroy this.
Aside from needing a shower, today's a good day.
You can't find this high anywhere else except out here. When you put yourself to the test, when you have to rely on each other and you have to do this thing the right way and come out successful, and you do it, there is nothing more rewarding in this world than pulling that off.
You're never going to be given anything. Nothing's ever given to you when you're out here. You really got to take it. And that's exactly what we did.
The cool thing about being brothers out here is when it comes to crunch time, we know each other. And I know Casey's going to get it done. I can rely on him, and he always comes through.
It's nice to know that the person you're out here with has the same confidence in you. To knock one down and to take that first bite of red meat in a long time, that's a satisfying feeling.
So far, we have conquered everything that's come our way, and from this point forward, I'm excited to see what lies ahead.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock. As Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow, for the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. For thousands of years, the state of Alaska has been inhabited by a traditional population of subsistence hunters, gatherers, trappers, and fishermen. This hard-worn lifestyle demands a constant state of harmony with all things living. This means nothing taken from the land can go to waste, as all natural resources are relied upon for survival. The Gwich'in people of Northeast Alaska take this very seriously. Known as the people of the caribou, the Gwich'ins utilize every usable piece of the animal, from the nutrition gained from the meat to the warmth provided by the skins. This way of life is a must for both the residents of remote Alaska and the visiting hunters who attempt to survive the elements. Chris and Casey have a caribou on the ground. They must protect and maintain their newly found food supply if they hope to escape Alaska's harsh winter. Having spent 5 days hunting in the confluence, the brothers now have enough sustainable food to complete their journey, but it's cut their travel time in half. With only 5 days to reach their fourth and final supply cache, they must hit the river and try to make up valuable time.
I'm frozen, meat's frozen. Yeah, it's all frozen.
Weighing close to 400 pounds, the addition of the caribou meat will make it much more difficult to steer and propel the raft.
The river's really starting to widen out, which is great. Really giving us some flow, allowing us to kind of do a bunch of different things, you know, be able to not drag as much. Row and bow and stern down through here is actually pretty solid because we can really control the line of where we're going. It's cold, really cold. You think all this movement would keep you warm, but not when the temperature's like high 20s. It's getting ridiculous. It's kind of floating back and forth between the 20s and 30s. Snow dropping. Hands, you gotta kind of get up, stop for a second, get a recharge in. But the view down the river is pretty amazing.
It's been nearly 2 days since the brothers took down the bull caribou. They've enjoyed a day of rest to replenish their energy and spirits, but with over 13 river miles to cover to reach their fourth and final supply cache, the brothers must once again tackle the ice-cold river. As they drop in elevation, they find themselves in dense patches of timber, adding a new dynamic to the brothers' travel.
Beautiful day in Alaska.
Doesn't take long to lose feeling in these fingers.
These big flat sections allow you to kind of warm up for just 5 seconds, you know? Keep your mind off of it.
Calm stretches of water allow the brothers to briefly warm their hands and take their minds away from rowing.
We're just trying to get to the next cache, taking it bend by bend right now. A lot of sweepers down here, a lot of things we kind of got to get around, but all in all, what do you think?
Fingers are cold.
Cold.
Feet are cold.
Yeah, fingers and feet are cold. Yep. We got to get somewhere and get a fire started here before dark. We got a lot of river to row before then if we want to make it in time.
See that giant sweeper?
Yeah, I see that. Let's take a look at that right there. That's ridiculous. Boom. I'm going to shut this off before we wreck into the sweeper. Peace.
The water flowing through the outside of a river bend is moving faster than water flowing along the inside. Erosion occurs on the outer banks, and undercut banks eventually collapse, causing trees to topple into the river. A sweeper is a fallen tree hanging over the water that is partially or completely blocking passage. A strainer is a tree that has collapsed from the bank entirely and is mostly submerged with limbs protruding out. Water is able to flow through freely, but paddlers and their gear can become trapped by the trees and pinned underwater. The ability to recognize these threats and take the necessary steps to avoid them is key to the brothers' survival.
Well, we made it through that sweeper back there. That was a good one, but we got a lot right in front of us.
I got the boat.
You got the boat?
Yeah.
We got these right here, which present a major issue right there. Because you get stuck in one of those guys, especially rowing bow and stern.
Some of them you can skirt through, like that one we can skirt underneath. This one we could probably skirt underneath, but at this point, why risk it? You got a little side channel, pull over, stop, jump out, drag the raft through the shallow, get back in. So it's just time consuming, but.
The bow guy makes the line, goes in, then the stern guy gets swept underneath it and gets smoked.
The stern guy gets worked.
The stern guy gets worked, which is usually what I do to Casey.
I've already gone for one swim off camera. I don't want to go for another one, especially on a day like today because it is cold.
The Kiefer brothers are steadily making their way downriver, but their daylight is limited and they have several chores to accomplish before dark. Finding a viable campsite is quickly becoming their main priority as the sun dips toward the horizon.
getting cold. We got to get somewhere and get a fire started here before dark.
Up here looks like a pretty good spot.
The open gravel bar is surrounded by timber. This location will be perfect to further process the caribou while being sheltered from the Arctic wind.
It's cold enough, this meat should be fine.
It looks good.
I'm gonna put it on like that bar right there. Try and keep it as clean as possible.
Having stopped for the evening, the brothers set to work moving the meat away from the boat. If the meat were to become wet, it would promote bacterial growth. The brothers must transport their precious cargo to a rudimentary meat cache, where it will be elevated above the water.
I'd like to separate as much as we could.
Chris must ensure that the individual slabs of meat are not touching. Keeping them separate will help prevent the transfer of bacteria should one become infected.
It looks good. Say we get it out of the bags though and just kind of give it some air.
Chris and Casey have covered 6 river miles today. Having found a good spot to stop for the evening, the brothers quickly set camp. The addition of the caribou meat adds a new chore to their list as they establish a rudimentary meat cache for the evening. The brothers must keep the cache a fair distance from their campsite and their raft. Having the meat close to either area is asking for a visit from one of Alaska's many predators looking for an easy meal.
It's really dry.
The brothers must now set to work meticulously inspecting the meat for any spoilage.
Not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Then we can start hunking off some layers, keep eating.
Looks really good.
Got a good crust on it right now.
Yep. These tag bags are still dry as a bone, too, which is awesome.
The synthetic bags will resist mold and bacteria that contribute to meat spoilage.
That's one good thing about having snow, I guess, is it's been cold enough to where it's not really an issue. You still got to do your due diligence though and stay on top of them.
I think the biggest thing is getting air to it.
Oh yeah, big time.
If you get air to it, you can keep it dry. As long as it's dry and cold, you'll be in good shape.
What do you think? We got that citric acid. We should use that cup. Put that citric acid in that cup and mix it up.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of
make sure that it's got at least a little bit of crust on it. I mean, there's some spots, obviously, like here with the bullet wound and stuff, you know. I can put citric acid on it if you want to take care of the capes.
Yeah, I may start on that bowl. He's going to be a little bit frozen, but I'll just pick away at it. But we should probably call in the meantime, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say we can keep calling for moose if we want, just to keep.
We can see forever down that way, see forever up that way.
Taking down an adult moose would provide a year's worth of meat for the brothers and their families.
The wolf hide's in good shape. We can resalt it, but it's in really good shape. The air's dried it out, and it's looking really good. If we can do the same thing to the caribou, get him off the head,
yeah,
get some salt to him. We don't have a lot of salt left, but we got enough to do both.
All right. So you want to take care of this, and then I'll get started on that?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are attempting to escape an Arctic winter, but limited daylight has pulled them off the river for the evening. The brothers must now set to work meticulously cleaning and preserving their meat supply if they want it to last the rest of their journey.
There's that citric acid.
Yeah, it's got a hole in the bag.
Yeah. There's the cup.
While Chris prepares the citric acid mixture, Casey sets to work on the caribou's skull. He must tediously remove skin from the bone until the cape is free, allowing him to salt and preserve the hide. Removing the skull will also lower the brothers' weight load as they travel downriver.
What I'm doing now is going to prepare the citric acid to put on the outer layer of the meat. It's been cold, which is good. It's been taking care of the meat, but I'm always cautious when it comes to that. You don't need a lot of citric acid. You just need enough that's going to coat that outer layer and cook it. And basically, just going to stir it up until it dissolves so that it's in there, and then spread it out across that layer of meat on the top layer.
The spoilage of meat occurs in a matter of hours or days if left untreated. harmful bacteria can grow on the surface or deep into the muscle tissues. This bacteria can quickly change the color, odor, and taste, rendering the meat inedible. To prevent this bacterial spoilage, the brothers are pouring citric acid directly on the meat at a ratio of 1/4 ounce of citric acid to 1 cup of water. The citric acid is safe for consumption and works by manipulating the surface pH to a level of pH 5 or lower, slowing the growth and development of bacteria. The acid also forms a dark crust on the meat's exterior. This crust prevents flies from laying eggs on the meat, greatly reducing the odds of spoilage.
Get out of there. There's some jacks.
Jeez, what is that bird squawking at? How's that meat coming?
It's in really good shape right now. I'm just putting a kind of a outer layer of this acid on it, but it's doing good. How's the cape?
It's coming, man, but my fingers, this cape's like starting to freeze up. My fingers are just frozen. It's hard to get in and around there, but yeah, it's coming.
The key is not to drench it. Just kind of put a nice little coating on the outside of this meat. It'll kind of turn white and then it'll start to turn black. And then when you're ready, you just cut off that section of the meat, and underneath it, you're gonna have good, fresh meat. It's imperative that you check it once a day.
You hear that echo?
Oh yeah.
Goes up this valley for a long ways.
That's what we want. Well, as we're out here, take the time to call for moose while we're definitely out here, because the thing with moose hunting is repetitiveness. You just keep calling and keep calling and keep calling. But you gotta be careful too, because we are standing over a bait pile. You wanna keep one eye open, check your six at all times, but definitely keep calling for moose. Use that opportunity over and over again while you're checking this meat.
Just about done getting the head off of this caribou, which is gonna be nice because then we're not gonna have a ton of weight. I'm also gonna be able to get this cape salted up nicely, so that's first part done. I wanna make sure I get these edges really good.
Chris and Casey must salt the hide to preserve its fur. Salt absorbs the moisture found in the meat and skin, preventing bacterial growth. If ignored, the meat would rot and the cape would be useless.
Salting down this hide is really gonna help to make sure that all the moisture comes out of the hide, because what happens when you get moisture in there is you get hide slip, so the hair is gonna start to pull out on you. So we just wanna make sure we do a good job of trying to suck as much moisture out of this hide as possible. It also helps to make it a little bit lighter too, which is gonna be easier to travel with.
One of the things that's also imperative is that you flesh the cape as much as you possibly can. Anywhere where there could be some rotten meat, something that could go bad, just little chunks like this, it's kind of imperative that you try to pull off as much as you can. That way you can salt that area and keep it super clean.
The brothers will have to constantly check the meat and hides if they hope to make them last the rest of their journey.
Hey, moose right there, right there, right there.
Casey has spotted a moose on the fringe of the brothers' camp. Quickly switching gears, the brothers grab their gear as they try and call him in for a closer look.
Sit tight right here. I'll come back to this point, and I'll just, let me know if you see him or what. You want to keep calling. Hurry up.
You know he's over there somewhere in case he ran to the camp. Our camp is in a triangle right now. He ran to the camp to grab his bow. He's running back. Let's see if we can get him in bow range.
The brothers are unsure of the exact location of the moose. They can only hope he leaves the dense forest and reveals himself.
I lost him as soon as he went into the bush. Hold on for a second. We got the wind in our favor right now.
I'm just gonna grab the pack so we have everything in case we get caught up in gonna stalk. Alright, let's go look and see what the bear.
The adult grizzly is only 70 yards from the brothers and getting closer.
This ain't good.
Hey, bear.
That gun loaded. Is there bullets in it?
Yeah, bear.
He's coming right at us. That went from a moose to a grizzly real fast. Wow. That drastically changes things. Coming right to the meat. We still gotta sleep here. Dude, I just saw black up there. I
thought it was a moose. I thought I just saw the back end of it go through there.
Me too.
As the Alaskan winter approaches, grizzlies must gain weight to prepare for hibernation. Up to 90% of a grizzly's diet is comprised of plant foods, but protein and fat-rich food sources like red meat and fish are never overlooked. A mature male is able to eat up to 90 pounds of food in a day's time, roughly the equivalent of a butchered bull caribou. Thought to have the best sense of smell of any animal on Earth, a mature grizzly is capable of pinpointing the smell of a carcass from up to 20 miles away, meaning Chris and Casey's freshly processed caribou is an easy target for a hungry bear.
Let's get out of here. Let's back off this meat right now and watch from a distance, because I'm not standing here over a bait pile. No, we got a giant grizzly bear hungry. No, everything's taken care of right now. Let's just get out. You know, the meat's ready to go. It's fine. Let's just watch it. I just don't want him getting into it. Let's at least back off so we have a way to see him.
I'm gonna leave that bow right there.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do this.
With roughly an hour left of daylight, the brothers have little option but to camp here for the evening. They must take every precaution before settling down for the night in hopes of deterring any more unwanted attention from the grizzly that may still be lurking in the area.
Man, that water is cold. Rinsing this thing down like this. I don't really think it's gonna do a ton, but any little bit helps, man. Definitely don't want to wake up to a raft with a hole in it. So, especially that tarp, I want to get that tarp cleaned off because we had the meat on top of the tarp as we were coming down the river. So it got some blood on it, and I want to make sure that I can get that as clean as I possibly can. So, got this raft pretty well wiped off, at least where the meat was sitting, so it should be pretty good. I can get a good amount of water on it.
The river's temperature is well below freezing. The icy water numbs Casey's fingers and makes it difficult for them to function properly.
Wow. Man. Oh. I need to warm my hands back. Well, it's not exactly the situation I was looking to find myself in, that's for sure. Being between a grizzly and a bunch of dead caribou, the dead caribou is easy food for him. That's one that he's going to take advantage of, so.
Temperatures are dropping big time right now, so the meat's in good shape. Not worried about any type of spoilage to heat, that's for sure.
We got a lot of work ahead of us. It's not just knock down a caribou and then everything's cool, life is grand. It actually creates a lot more work for us around camp, so.
A little tired, but it's nice having some meat. It really brings you back, fills your stomach up, gives you that jolt that you need, so.
Chances are that grizzly's gone by now. He really didn't like us. As soon as he saw us, he turned and bolted. But it's just one of those things where if you act like he's always around, you're never gonna find yourself in a troubling situation. So we gotta treat this from here on out as if that grizzly's close by.
Right there, hey, get out of here.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. The promise of sunlight dwindles as winter descends upon the Brooks Range. Its inhabitants have adapted to these harsh conditions in numerous ways. The eyes of many animals shift dramatically, increasing retinal surface, pupil dilation, and even utilizing a reflective membrane known as the tapetum. Commonly referred to as eye shine, this membrane collects and re-emits light back to the retina a second time, maximizing the little light available to them. Combined with powerful noses and hearing, the animals of the Arctic are at home in the black void of winter. Chris and Casey's survival hinges on their ability to see, which is limited to the light of their fire as darkness slips over the range. A close encounter with an adult male grizzly has left the brothers on a razor's edge.
Gun loaded. The bullets in it. We still gotta sleep here.
Clouds cover the sky as night descends, blocking the moonlight and blanketing Chris and Casey in darkness. The brothers must take every precaution with a hungry bear lurking in the area, so they take turns keeping watch throughout the night.
I just got up manning the fire here. I think I can hear something out there in the cache. I think that grizzly bear's back. It sounded like there was rocks rolling around.
The brothers are at a distinct disadvantage in the dark, limited to the light of their fire and headlamp.
We're only probably, I don't know, 75, 80 yards from that cache. There it is again. Hey, Chris. Hey. There's something at that cache. There's something at that cache. Seriously. Oh, yeah. Seriously. Do you hear it? He's definitely. What do you want to do? I can hear him walking. I don't want him getting into that meat. Let's just walk out to the edge and see if we can scare him off. Yeah, let's go.
Knowing full well the temptation of meat to Alaska's predators, the brothers have set their campsite over 70 yards from the meat cache in a dense patch of timber. Traversing the terrain and confronting a male grizzly on a pitch-black night will be dangerous, but they can't allow the bear to ravage their only supply of food.
Get out of here! Hey! Get out! He's coming right at us. Get! I just saw him run. All I can see is him run right there, just a shadow. Are you kidding me? That's just what we need. I knew that bear was coming back, man. Our camp is right there. The cache is right there in front of us. He went back into that timber he came out of today. Oh, that's gonna make for a longer night, huh? Yeah. Well, I'm up now. Let's build fire and stay bright. Stay loud. I say as soon as daybreak comes, just move on. You know he's gonna come back. Brutal.
As light enters the eye, it's focused by the cornea into the pupil, which expands or contracts to control the amount of light entering the eye. Light is then perceived by two types of cells, cones and rods. Cone cells can detect color in bright light, while rod cells detect black and white images and work best in low light. Humans have around 150,000 rods per square millimeter, but a bear has more than 10 times that amount, and its pupil opens almost twice as wide. When combined with the tapetum membrane, which allows light to hit the rods a second time, A bear's ability to perceive the world at night is far superior to a human's, putting the Kiefer brothers at a distinct disadvantage.
Hold on, let me get up here.
Wait.
You all right?
Shifting rocks have thrown Casey off balance, slamming his knee into the stump of a fallen tree.
You all right?
Yeah.
You hit it on the rocks?
Yeah. I slid down these rocks and I got caught in that tree. Grizzly bear in camp. What a time to blow a wheel.
Sustaining even a small injury can prove fatal when surviving in a primal situation. Fortunately, Casey's knee can still support his weight, allowing him to maneuver about, albeit painfully.
Let's get that fire going. Hopefully that was enough noise to scare him off.
Oh, I could hear him going, ooh, ooh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He sounded like he was huffing.
Yeah. Well, that's it for now.
As day breaks, Chris and Casey Kiefer are grateful for the sun's return. A visit from an adult grizzly in the middle of the night ensured the brothers received little rest.
So tired. That was miserable, dude.
Still unsure of the bear's whereabouts, they waste no time packing camp, just in case he remains in the immediate area.
This can be back at the boat.
Sleep deprivation reduces the body's blood flow, impairing cognitive functions and slowing gross motor skills. The brothers can't allow these side effects to hinder their progress. Dull senses in the wild can lead to injury or death.
Try and hit this river. Make up as much ground as we can today. Right there, same right here.
Yeah, your hand doesn't even compare. That dude would jack you up, man.
Especially when you're standing between him and his next meal. He's not gonna lighten up on you.
Give you a hard time for sure. When he came out of these willows right here, he came down nose to the ground.
Yeah.
Just
He had caribou on his mind.
The close encounter has left a distinct impression on Chris and Casey.
you need to think about pushing out. Gosh, it's cold, man.
That's even more reason to hit the river sooner than later.
With no desire to stick around for another encounter, the brothers pack camp and leave the bear's territory. As winter draws closer, days grow shorter, meaning less daylight that can be spent traveling on the river. With only 4 days to cover 7 river miles, Chris and Casey must cover large chunks of ground quickly if they hope to validate their 4th supply cache.
Another day on the river right now. Jesus, almost went right in. Probably just got hung up again in a little rapid section, so we're not in the clear yet. I mean, this water's not very deep, maybe ankle deep, but we're gonna have to do some dragging, so. More dragging, float dragging Alaska.
The added weight of the caribou will make dragging the raft much more difficult. Exhaustion, fatigue, and the mind-numbing cold is sapping the brothers' energy and spirits.
We're on a stone, you gotta go that way.
Huh?
You gotta go that way.
You go through here.
Float dragging, that's what it's all about.
An exhaustingly long stretch of shallow river has eaten into much of the brothers' day. Finally finding knee-deep water is a welcome reprieve as they try to make up for lost time.
It's good to be back on the river. I think this morning, getting out of there, no sense in sticking around with a bear in camp. Coming to the cache, keeping the moose out of there, kind of changes the plan, so we're adjusting on the fly. We gotta keep moving right now.
Moving water picks up soil and debris, carrying it downriver. This process is known as erosion, and over time it will cut steep banks into rock and earth alike. As snow and rain run off from the land, they enter the water table and join rivers, increasing the rate of erosion. flowing water has tremendous power. It can move boulders and carve out canyons. While traversing the Alaskan wilderness, Chris and Casey must always be on the lookout for a proper campsite. But as they travel downstream, the riverbank becomes steeper, which makes finding a location more and more difficult.
Coming down into some of this canyon country, as we get lower in this river, we start to get some of these high banks and stuff and sweepers. Like that one that just went over my head. So a little more debris in the water, but not too bad. Just gotta watch it. You know what happens when you hit the side of the sweepers, if there's sweepers in the water, when you hit the side of those things, the boat will actually hit, and then the current forces you and you'll start to list, the boat will start to list, and you can end up sinking one way or the other. But this area is awesome, man. We got tons of big, tall trees in here. That's what I love about Alaska, is you go around a bend, and every single bend you go around, something's different. Something's different between this one and the next one. Always looking at something new, man. It's just gorgeous.
Seeing the only viable location for several miles, the brothers decide to set camp. The dangers of traversing a river at night outweigh their desire to push toward their final supply cache. With only a few hours of daylight left, they set to work building a proper meat cache.
We got this meat down here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use this little dried up creek bed right here in front of us. We're gonna basically stack dead lumber and dead willows across that creek bed. We gotta get moving on this thing. We gotta get it done. We're running out of daylight fast.
When fallen trees or other natural barriers are unavailable, Chris and Casey must take the time to build one. A dead grove of willow lines the riverbank and will make for a perfect supply of wood to build the cache's foundation.
The reason we're using these willows is because we can just bring it up off the ground a little bit.
Oh, you want to go crossways on this?
Yeah, I was trying to make a good bed down first, and then we get some good ones and go across it. Like if I put these ones down where you're standing, we'd have a good bed, then go across that. Or do you want to go across?
I was going to go across first, because that'll leave it open underneath for that air to flow through it.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. That might be good.
I'll get a couple more if you want to start laying meat.
Okay. These meat care bags are pretty amazing because it wicks away all the moisture from the meat. So what we don't want is we've got some of these that are doubled up, two hindquarters in the back end. When you get two hindquarters touching each other like that, we don't want meat-to-meat contact, because that's where you'll get some spoilage. The ones that are double, we're gonna pull out and make sure that they're kind of out in the air.
There are 3 objectives to keep in mind when trying to prevent meat spoilage without the aid of modern convenience: clean, cool, and dry. The willow branches keep the meat elevated off the ground, away from dirt and water, as well as allowing air to travel underneath, which helps keep the meat cool in warmer conditions.
Chris and I always try to leave the bone in the actual meat anywhere and everywhere where it's plausible and it makes sense. You know, out here we've got a raft that we can use to help us float the meat. We're not relying on carrying it on our backs the whole time, so it's gonna be a little bit easier to pack with the raft. But the bone in, what that does is that actually exposes less surface area of the meat to the outside environment, which at the end of the day is gonna cause way less spoilage than you might get if you go ahead and take, you know, the meat right off of the bone. So that's a good tip. It also helps to keep it a lot cooler and just cleaner overall. So we always like to leave the bone in. It always helps when you're packing out. You know, it always seems like you're against the gun up here just when you think something's not gonna take that long. I mean, whether you're against the clock with weather or meat spoilage or darkness, whatever, you just gotta keep rolling, you gotta keep pushing.
While Casey inspects the gear, Chris sets to work building a fire. Hard earth can sap the brothers' body heat while they sleep. Knowing this, Chris searches for anything he can use to act as a barrier and hopefully provide some added comfort.
This is all dry moss. This moss is like having a bed out here. If you can find it, you can peel it away perfectly square, which is great. Then you can lay on this stuff, and it's pretty dry back in here underneath all this pine, which is great because it keeps you up off the ground a little bit,
That rock gets really cold at night, where if you have this, you can just peel it. The heat retention is so much better. And it'll dry out if you can just lay it next to the fire. I'm gonna line the entire backside section where we're sleeping with this stuff, just to give us a little bit of cushion.
Moss is able to absorb huge amounts of water, and the brothers' basic clothing can only protect them so much, so Chris must dry it out next to the fire before sleeping on it. Small comforts like a moss bed help lift the brothers' spirits before facing another brutally cold night.
I'm just going through and sharpening out a willow that we can use to cook the meat on and make for good skewers because it's green. If you use a dead branch, your meat most likely will end up in the fire. Got a fire going, got beds laid down. I got two little treats just about ready to eat.
Oh, is that meat on a stick?
Oh, it's meat on a stick.
That right there is frozen meat on a stick.
Well, the river's cold.
I need to get him in.
Get those hands warm by the fire.
Yeah, you got all this right here?
Yeah, I got all that moss.
Oh yeah, but
there's more, so it's softer for the ground. I tried drying some of it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's definitely better than sleeping on the hard ground. Man, get these fingers to thaw out. Is that almost ready? It looks pretty close.
It's pretty done.
Careful, son. Oh yeah. I literally can't even feel it.
That's how you know your fingers are cold. Because it's hot.
Oh.
How is it? As good as it smells?
Best thing I've had all day.
Oh my God. You know your stomach's empty when you eat it that fast.
As another cold night settles in over the Brooks Range, Chris and Casey Kiefer are on the hunt. Adding a moose to their meat supply is now their main priority, and fresh sign proves that moose actively use this area. Their campsite is set near a dried up portion of river, which is an ideal location for moose to gather.
This is obviously a place that they use. This little oxbow runs back behind where we're camped at. It runs all the way back like this. And from what I can tell, it looks like it probably wraps around and goes right back to the river. So this is an awesome spot. It's bow friendly. I really want to explore this some more, but we said no more than a half hour basically. So I'm gonna have to head back. But I like this spot. I like it a lot.
As Casey patrols the area, he must have heightened senses. Thick timber can mask animal movement, as proven with yesterday's bear encounter. A meandering river will have many curves in its watercourse, creating a snaking pattern across the land. Soil is pulled away from the riverbed and surrounding bank, adding width and depth to the river. After a long period of time, the meander becomes curved. Eventually, the neck of the meander becomes narrower, and the river cuts through the neck during a flood, cutting off the meander and forming an oxbow. Moose frequently use these dried up sections of river as a travel corridor to get out of the dense timber and open their field of view, something the Kiefer brothers hope to take advantage of.
What'd you see?
That little oxbow that wraps back there, it's awesome, man. I think it wraps all the way around and comes back to the river over here. It's pretty sweet. There's sign all over the place, fresh rakes, everything. So it's a good spot.
That's good. I think I went down to the river. You can see where there's this little meadow that comes in, and you can see where it kind of comes out on the one side. Yep. And this is really the only section of river back and forth right here that allows us to really see as far as we can see. So there's definitely moose sign around. It's just a matter of whether the moose are here. I got enough wood right here that we just try to stay warm, keep the fire rolling, get after it again tomorrow, get some shut-eye. All in all, doing good. Got in, found a great spot for camp. The access that it gives us both to and from the river.
I'm really excited for the spot that we're in right now. You know, just doing a little bit of looking around, you can tell there's a lot of moose sign around here. I'd love to see a big moose hit the ground because That meat will provide for my family for a long time.
The shelter that we built, it's not a lot. You just need something that's going to keep the weather off you and keep you warm.
You sleep for half an hour, you wake up, you got to roll to the other side because everything's hurting and aching. So it's a lot of back and forth at night, but it is what it is.
And just stick around camp, continue to call. I really like this area. I like what it provides. I like the ability to be able to see for a long distance.
You got to give yourself some time and never really be in a hurry to get anything done. So when you find yourself in a hurry is when you can get in trouble, and that's when you can get in trouble pretty quickly. So
There's a cache right around here.
We don't have time, dude.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock. As Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow, for the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. Deep in the heart of the Alaskan wilderness, seasons can change with little to no warning. Ice and snow can bury the Brooks Range in a matter of hours. It's common for many stretches of Alaska's interior to become completely covered by more than 5 feet of snow. Temperatures regularly plummet to -40 degrees. Plant life goes dormant or dies out completely, while hundreds of animal species attempt to scratch and claw their way through the long, cold season. Certain biological traits like long legs, hoofed feet, and thick hollow fur are essential to the survival of some of Alaska's biggest game species during these brutal months. Those who are unable to adapt are forced to move on to milder, more livable terrain. When that switch is flipped, the brothers will have no choice but to escape or risk getting stranded in the frozen north. Chris and Casey Kiefer are set deep in Alaska's Brooks Range. Having found a suitable campsite, the brothers have settled in for the evening. However, a substantial dip in temperature keeps the brothers awake long into the night as they huddle next to their fire to keep warm.
I'll tell you what, it's cold. Yeah, the nights are long. We're trying to catch any type of Z we possibly can. I mean, any type of shut-eye. That's the problem, but it's a half hour at best. It's just cold, man. There's no other way around it. We'll try to do it in shifts, you know, like I'll sleep for a little bit, then Casey will go, then I'll sleep, man the fire. But the biggest thing is trying to stay warm. Yeah, the thing is, you don't want to sleep on the ground. Try to lay down moss or try to lay down spruce boughs or something, but I mean, all it's really doing is prolonging the inevitable. But I'm telling you, man, it is too brutal. It's freezing out here.
The bone-chilling night has left Chris and Casey restless. Yesterday's brief excursion around the oxbow revealed fresh moose sign. Hoping to capitalize on their good fortune, the brothers set out at first light, each going their separate ways to double their chances.
Downriver. Yep, I'll follow this oxbow back and around.
Okay. You can see for a good distance. There's a meadow on the other side that I can see. One of the reasons we picked this camp is because we have this long straightaway of river. Very rare up here to get a long straightaway like this. So that's why we pulled off. Not only that, we have this oxbow behind us, and this oxbow goes all the way around, and it's a dried up creek bed. It runs all the way around the other side, which makes for easy packing and access to land that we normally wouldn't have access to. So it's actually a really good spot. With Casey back there and me up here, we continue to call and get something to come in. However, I just don't know if the moose are here. That right there is exactly what we're looking for. That's pretty fresh too. It's all torn up. What these big bulls do is they'll come up to these willows, get their antlers in them. When they get their antlers in them, they start raking back and forth, and then they bust these off. And I've seen some old breaks
walking out here, but this is definitely the freshest one that I've seen. There's a little bit of rub on this one next to us too.
Fresh breaks are a sign that a moose may still be in the immediate area.
One of the nice things about splitting up is I can come this way and I can call, and I'm calling to all of this back here. And with him going that way, he's basically calling to everything on that side and on the other side of the river. So essentially we can work both sides at one time. And if there's a bull in the area and he hears us, he's coming in, so.
The Kiefer brothers have set their camp on the outskirts of a dried up section of river known as an oxbow. Chris and Casey know that moose frequently use these areas as a travel corridor, so they've decided to split up once again, each walking the oxbow from opposite directions. Fresh prints and scrapes prove that a moose may still be in the area, which drives the brothers deeper into the timber.
It's a good looking area. You can definitely tell that the moose are in here. There's tracks all through here.
Casey and I are following his tracks right now. We know he went this way. No matter how far we go to pursue him.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are tracking an adult moose a few hundred yards from their campsite. Thick timber hinders their view as they stalk the surrounding wetland. A bull moose in rut can become extremely aggressive, and with limited visibility, the brothers must proceed with utmost caution. When stalking an adult moose, Chris and Casey will grunt, scrape, and purposely break branches and twigs to act like a rival bull. They do so to draw the attention of any bulls in the area by issuing a challenge of dominance, which will hopefully draw them in closer.
This is obviously a place that they use.
Still within earshot, I know that much.
What do you want to do? It's hard to leave an area like this when you find it.
The moose is the largest member of the deer family, ranging in size from 800-pound cows to bulls weighing over 1,600 pounds, reaching up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Moose fur grows in varied shades of black and brown and is hollow to insulate the animals from the bitter cold. Bull moose carry massive antlers that can extend 6 feet wide and are used to fight with other bulls for breeding rights. A bull's antlers are shed after the breeding season and grow anew each spring. These primarily solitary animals are herbivores, surviving on aspen leaves, birch, willow, pondweeds, and grasses. These sparsely populated animals can prove extremely difficult for Chris and Casey to locate in Alaska's expansive landscape.
Well, let's check back by the river. Get a hot fire going.
Yeah, go back. Go back towards the water right there.
The brothers know all too well that tracking a moose can take time. Opting to be patient, they head back to camp. While Chris does one final sweep of the area, Casey sets to work revitalizing the fire.
We still got a little bit of fire burning here. So the bottom line out here in Alaska is this. A lot of times your bigger wood is gonna feel wet on the outside. It's gonna feel like it's wet because it's been exposed to the elements. When in reality, the inside and the core of the wood is dry and it's good burnable wood. So what you need is something that's gonna burn fast and burn hot enough to get all of that moisture out of the outer layers so that you're left with that good dry core on the inner layer of wood. That's what spruce is gonna do for you. So another little trick that I like to do when I'm out here is I like to take the pieces of wood that I'm about to put on the fire next, and I like to kind of box those off to start to dry this wood out that much faster, so when it finally does go on the fire, it's dry and ready to go.
Okay. Hey,
What?
this is gonna change things.
What do you mean change things?
Apparently there's an extreme cold front that's gonna lock in this valley.
Extreme cold front.
High of 11.
11.
Yeah, we only got 2 days.
2 days?
That's what it's saying, 2 days to extraction. I mean, basically it just says that there's an extreme cold front coming in that's gonna lock in this valley. If we don't get out, we could be stuck on the river because it'll freeze over.
That's unbelievable.
It'll take a while for this river to freeze in, but you know how it is when those edges start closing in? Ice and rafts don't work. We still have to find the cache.
We got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Like
we
a
still
really
got a long way to go to push in 2 days. We're gonna have to be literally hauling.
You mentioned there goes moose season.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 days, there's no way we're gonna take down a moose.
I'm not prepared for 11 degrees, man. We're gonna have to row for 2 days, like not just float. Like we're gonna have to row, push for 2 days straight because we have a long ways to go.
Well, let's just load this meat up as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah, we gotta go. We're running out daylight, fast.
You let them know we got it.
A severe cold front is moving in, threatening to blanket the Brooks Range in ice and snow, cutting the brothers' journey short. They will have to row almost non-stop to make extraction, so they must hit the river as fast as possible.
Put that leg across.
This is the last of it.
Even when in a hurry, the brothers must take extra care to keep their raft balanced. Chris and Casey load their cargo in the center of the raft to counter their own weight on the bow and stern. The caribou meat is loaded onto the sling seats to keep it from coming in contact with the wet floor. Uneven weight distribution creates increased drag on one side, which can cause the brothers to lose control of the vessel, sending them on a collision course with dangerous river obstacles. A fully loaded raft will also push them farther down into the waterline. If loaded improperly, the raft can become damaged by the rocks or debris on the river bottom. A balanced raft is essential to the brothers' safety and their ability to continue floating toward extraction.
Well, it's been getting noticeably colder.
Oh my God, yeah. Ready? If they're coming in early for us, we're gonna have to push now.
We're gonna have to literally straight, like, push.
Row, spike camp, row.
Yeah.
And just keep hammering.
It's gonna start freezing in. Anywhere there's slack water, anything like that, any of that stuff, that's all gonna start to freeze.
I know, but there's no other option at this point, so let's hammer it out.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are making a hard push to their extraction site. In less than 48 hours, an Arctic storm will blanket the Brooks Range, making it nearly impossible to pull them out. Their last-ditch hope is the unknown contents of the fourth and final supply cache. They can only hope it will provide them with the gear they desperately need to withstand the inevitable onslaught of ice and snow.
We still got a long ways to go.
Get there and see if we can't just find something that's gonna help us through that, because not prepared for that cold, man.
Well, we got a interesting inReach message this morning. Basically forced us to pack our stuff and go. There's supposed to be some cold weather kicking in here any moment in the next couple of days, which could cause us to freeze out. And the last thing you want to be is stuck on an Arctic river when it starts to freeze, because if it freezes out, you can get into some serious trouble quickly. So we're just trying to hurry our way down the river, but I really don't like doing anything in a hurry down here. It's one of those deals where when you find yourself in a hurry, you find yourself in trouble. So
Winter has finally arrived in Alaska. With temperatures threatening to hover in the low teens, Chris and Casey are forced to abandon the promising hunting grounds. Rivers can freeze throughout this deep in the Alaskan wilderness, which could force the brothers to carry their gear. With over 50+ miles ahead of them, the brothers will have to make a hard push to reach extraction before the inevitable freeze-out.
Not really looking forward to an extreme cold front, but it happens here in Alaska at any given moment. Just kind of puts pressure on things for us, because we're not anywhere near where we should be in order to get to that extraction point. So we're just trying to navigate our way through the river, and it seems to be kind of splitting and getting windy, and it's just a matter of staying on track at this point. It's got a good flow, but still got a lot of river to go, and not a lot of time.
Alaska is home to over 12,000 rivers and more than 3 million lakes bigger than 5 acres. These freshwater resources are vital to the state's many animal species. As the average temperatures begin to continuously hover below the freezing point, these water sources start to freeze on the surface. As the temperatures continue to plunge, the ice penetrates deeper into the water column and spreads from shore to shore, and at times even freezing from surface to floor. The fish inhabiting these freshwater resources are able to survive with increased oxygen levels under the ice, but they become inaccessible to the other species who depend on them. Drinking water becomes scarce, and animals are forced to eat snow to stay hydrated. For the brothers, frozen water is a sure sign of danger and a signal that winter is closing in on them.
Oh, the temperature's starting to drop already. But now that we've got this kind of early pickup scenario and this cold front coming in, kind of changes the plans. Starting to get into some windy stuff. We're looking for the cache right now. It's really starting to split off. We're just trying to get the right channel because it really is braided. And it's just kind of just starting, we can tell. I mean, they're all starting to meet back up again, but I don't know. It's getting to be a little bit hairy at the moment. Hopefully we continue to pick the right one. We can find this next cache.
Chris and Casey Kiefer are attempting to outrun an Arctic cold front threatening to cover the Brooks Range in ice and snow. The brothers' last hope is their fourth and final supply cache, but its exact location and contents are unknown to them. The cache may help the brothers survive the impending storm, but searching for the gear is wasting valuable time.
Okay.
You find it?
No. See anything?
I can't find it either. I walked all over here.
I took that whole section over there and walked it. So there's 100 channels.
I know. I walked all the way back through here. Walked this whole thing all the way back through like that. There's nothing back there.
I did the same with all this right here. I mean, I don't know. It's not giving me like the exact coordinates to the foot of where it's at, but I mean, it could be in the right channel, the left channel.
We don't have time, dude. We're running out of time. That's a problem. I'm not gonna sit here and mess around for an hour looking for this stupid thing.
We have to do something.
We got miles and miles and miles of rowing to do.
Yeah, but what if it's something where like, I mean, it's a cache. It could have a hint in it for all we know. It could have
nothing in it. It could have literally nothing. It could have a flashlight in it. We could spend hours out here looking around for this thing and not find it. I mean, there's literally 15 braids right here, if not more.
So what are you saying? Just fold on it and go? Just leave it? Because if we leave it, we're not going to have whatever's there. Even if it is a flashlight, we're going to have nothing. So if we leave it and we can't find it, we're gone.
We don't have it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
We don't have it now. So what's the difference?
Because I'm freezing and the temperature's dropping drastically by the second. The snow line's coming down and it's getting cold. I'm sitting here thinking, you know, there's a cache somewhere right around here. It's just a matter of what channel.
Well, we got a valley that's literally 3/4 of a mile, if not a mile wide, that's full of braids, dude.
I've never seen braids like this ever.
We're not gonna find it. That's the bottom line. I mean, it's freezing.
Well, at this point, I'm gonna give it at least 10 minutes. I'll go out this outside channel. I'll walk the big circle. 10 more minutes. If I can't find it, I'll call it in.
You give it your 10 minutes. I'll be back at the raft.
Great. Great. Even then, completely fend for himself. Figured out. We got a complete cache full of supplies.
The brothers have arrived at an impasse. The river has transformed into a series of networking channels and islands known as braids. These knolls offer an infinite amount of places to conceal the cache's location. While Casey heads back to the raft, Chris makes one last desperate attempt to find the gear. With inclement weather fast approaching, Chris knows he must quickly find the hidden gear in the maze of braids, or risk missing their extraction.
I'm the one that had the GPS. I'm never gonna hear the end of this one. Like it was my fault. Come on. Hands are freezing.
Unable to find the gear, Chris is forced to admit defeat. He must forfeit the cache and its contents, whatever they might have been, to continue downriver. It's been 7 days since the brothers hunted the confluence. Since then, they've taken down a bull caribou, tackled dangerous river obstacles, come face to face with a male grizzly, survived long sleepless nights, and have been forced to abandon fertile hunting grounds due to an Arctic storm. With less than 2 days before extraction, the brothers have forfeited their 4th supply cache.
There he is. Can't find the cache.
No, I can't find the cache.
I could care less about that cache.
Well, at least I gave it an effort. I can't find the cache.
What I care about is
I
when that
validated
plane
it.
lands on that gravel bar, I'm standing there ready to get on it.
You do what you want. I can't find the cache.
Let's go.
So
Maybe we'll freeze up. We'll have plenty of time to look for it during the spring thaw.
Let's hit the river then. That's great. Well, we just left a load of equipment behind that we can't find.
We don't have it now. We don't need it.
I'm gonna make for a merry traveling route.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock. As Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow, for the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped. The aurora borealis is an unpredictable display of color and light that illuminates the sky around the Earth's northernmost regions on the darkest of nights. Also known as the Northern Lights, this impressive spectacle is created when accelerated electrons from the sun follow the Earth's magnetic field to the polar regions where they clash with atmospheric gases. As electrons strike molecules, energy is transferred, sending the molecules into a higher state of energy. These excited gas molecules stabilize themselves by releasing the energy in the form of light. Once a mystery, we now know the color of the display is determined by which gases are releasing energy. Oxygen gives off yellowish green, while nitrogen causes blue or red. Often considered a herald of winter, the aurora borealis is a sight to behold and a clear reminder to Chris and Casey that they must reach extraction or face life-threatening conditions. It's been a little over 24 hours since the brothers forfeited their final supply cache. Forced to cut their journey short due to a fast-approaching cold front, Chris and Casey have been rowing hard ever since, stopping only long enough to build a fire before dark. With less than 19 hours till extraction, the already plummeting temperature keeps the brothers awake long into the night.
We're hot to trot. We're live action from the woods on the last night of Dropped.
What we hope to be the last night.
God, I hope so too, because it's cold. We got a rager going right now. Basically, we decided after a day like yesterday of just rowing and pushing and rowing and pushing, it was ridiculous. So tonight, this is our little nook we got going here. Boom, look at that. Big fire. What do you think, man?
Big old fire under some pines. Been cold on that river, man. Freezing cold, snowing, rowing into a headwind.
Trying to
Just
get
freaking
this.
miserable. So
Let me tame this for you. There we go. That storm that they were looking for to tell us to get out early. Yeah, it's here.
We found it.
We found it. We found it. What do you think?
We've been rowing like mad just to try and get up out of here these last couple days, and it's been cold, really, really, really cold. So
today was a long, brutal day. We're still in our waders. We're not going to sleep?
No, I'm not going to sleep. You can sleep if you want.
No, I don't think so.
Keep this fire warm. As soon as we get enough light to row out of here, I'm gonna get back in that raft and I'm gonna start rowing again. And not gonna stop until I find that plane.
I can tell you this much, it is the coldest drop we've ever had.
All hands down.
We're trying to document the row and try to continue to rock and roll, but
here's the problem right now. And normally we wouldn't talk about this, but we are legitimately out of battery power. And we have one memory card left on the production side. So what we do is we row and we row and we row and we keep rowing and we just keep rowing. And all we would be showing you would be ice and snow.
That's it, man. Sign off for now.
That's it.
Daylight, we go to extraction. Off.
Bitterly cold temperatures keep their brothers awake and on their feet throughout the night. They now have a little more than 7 hours to reach their extraction site, or risk being left behind. Several miles sit between them and their destination, so they must shake off their exhaustion and quickly hit the river. A slow start wastes valuable time.
I'll latch that down.
Yeah, all these knots are frozen tonight.
I know. We gotta get rolling if we're hoping to make it down there, man.
The sun's just cracking right now. Let's do it. Last push. Confluence can't be far, right?
Nope. Gotta get back in the water. All right, let's go. Ready? Yeah. Be frozen to these rocks. Yep, frozen to the rocks.
We're in trouble.
The brothers must work together to safely remove the raft. They kick water underneath to melt the ice as they push and pull it free. They must work slowly. Pulling too hard or fast could damage it, leaving them stranded.
How's that rope?
Frozen it's like lasso rope.
That's what my fingers feel like right now. Let's go over this rock.
All right, brother. Ready for the last push?
Yep, let's do it.
Oh, this is it, I hope. Oh, she's brisk this morning.
Dude, that was a long night.
That was one of the coldest nights I've ever spent.
Oh, Alaska.
We got a giant boulder coming up.
Stay straight. Oh, we gotta go here.
Left side?
Yeah.
We still got a long ways to go.
Since learning of their early extraction, Chris and Casey have been forced to row from dawn until dusk, stopping only long enough to make camp. Deep, fast-moving water has allowed the brothers to cover nearly 43 miles in less than 2 days, but with only 7 hours to reach their extraction site, they must continue to push the pace.
Everything up here changes in the blink of an eye.
The hardest part about rowing down this river, it's gotten bigger, is the headwind. It's cold, no doubt, but this headwind is worse because it just picks everything up, makes it colder, it makes it harder to row. Even if you were center rowing right now, instead of bow stern, you struggle because it's like a 10-mile-an-hour headwind. So, brutal.
It's like a brutal fun. It's so hard to show on camera.
Oh, it's so hard to show how cold and how do you show wind? It's invisible. You can't show it. But we're trying by showing you how hard it is to row this boat. Okay, get that thing down and help me row.
Earth's gravity compresses the atmosphere, creating air pressure. Radiation from the sun is absorbed by the Earth's surface at differing rates, depending on the landscape. This causes variation in atmospheric pressure. Warm air over land results in low pressure, while cool air over land causes high pressure. The warm air rises in columns, creating thermals. Nearby cool air rushes in to take its place, creating wind. When air flows over a mountain, it is forced upward into higher elevations where it cools and turns into precipitation. The wind flowing off of and through these mountainous areas is channeled into a tunnel effect, which creates strong winds and aggressive weather formations. Cold air is currently rushing in from the surrounding mountain range and producing violent winds that are hindering the brothers' speed as they push toward extraction.
Hey, moose right there. Where? Right there. Where? Right there.
Chris and Casey have spotted a small herd of moose skirting the riverbank. The drop in temperature has sparked the bull's desire to mate as he chases an unreceptive cow who is still tending to a calf. Forced to continue toward their extraction, the brothers can only watch as the bull disappears into the timber. Spotting a moose in the wild is considered a good omen to many, and the brothers enjoy this rare moment to simply observe rather than pursue.
Ooh. So tight on a big giant redbeard. Trying to get my bearings here. There we go. How sweet was that? That was an awesome bull. How about it, man? Moose everywhere.
Oh my gosh, man. They're everywhere. And that was a good bull. The mighty Mutakamus. They're out. If we had more time, we wouldn't be rowing past them. That's for sure.
We were just coming down the river there and we looked up and he was coming out. He had a cow and a calf and he was kind of chasing. I was trying to get him on film. I got old Captain Stubing up there just swinging us around in circles, doing nothing but the whirling dervish.
I'm trying to man this boat from the front without my stern man, who's on a photo safari. I've never seen a bull chase like a whitetail before. And I really didn't get to see him right there either because I was going at 360. I just saw him go by like 3 times.
When I looked up,
That's all I saw.
I was trying to get the camera rolling, but when I looked up, I was facing the wrong way. I was facing up.
I saw the bull go by 3 times. That's all I saw. But I do know this. If we weren't pushing hard, we would have spun on second time. We would have stopped and killed that bull because that was a nice bull.
Oh,
it
man.
figures, man. So many moose out on the river right now. Prime time. But at least we get to see them. We came and did what we wanted to do. We got it right there. We're fat and happy. That's a beautiful bull, though.
Oh, that's it from Marty Stouffer's Wild Adventures for today. We're just gonna keep rowing. Seems like we can at least do that.
Even at midday, the average temperature peaks in the low teens. Long-term exposure to these harsh conditions is taking its toll on the brothers.
We saw one really good bull that we definitely could have taken, but we got plenty of meat and a little time to make it to the pickup, so just got to keep rowing. It's snowing on and off, snowing on and off, but one thing remains consistent. It is cold. It's got to be in the teens right now. I mean, it's freezing.
Exhaustion, fatigue, and mind-numbing cold is a recipe for disaster that could strike at any moment.
So we're just gonna keep on pressing, stay behind these oars as long as we can, and get as far as we can.
The human body has millions of sensor receptors designed to react to external circumstances, prompting them to send electrical signals to the brain. 2 types of thermoreceptors found on the skin detect changes in temperature. Long-term exposure to a specific sensation leads to decreased signal activity as the receptors wear out, making the human body numb to those particular conditions. Long-term exposure to extreme cold can lead to an unsafe drop in the body's core temperature, also known as hypothermia. Low body temperature can slow brain activity, breathing, and heart rate, causing confusion, fatigue, and hampering a person's ability to make intelligent choices. Unable to stop and warm their bodies, hypothermia is a very real threat to the brothers as they push toward extraction.
With ice, I think. The lag tight.
Okay, or just put me into them. One or the other. I got him. We're good.
Got it.
the final push. Headed towards the pickup point here. We just popped into this valley, and this river's gotten really, really big compared to where we were. I mean, the river was really small where we started, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But down here, man, this thing is huge. It fills up this whole valley. So I feel like we're getting pretty close. But man, these babies right here are cold. Home stretch almost there.
Having covered over 22 miles today alone, the brothers are nearing their extraction area. While fighting the early onset of hypothermia, Chris and Casey must keep a sharp eye out for a proper landing zone. There are specific requirements needed to land a bush plane in the Alaskan wilderness. Should the brothers miss one now, there's no guarantee they would find another for several miles.
Getting close. I hope. The mileage is ticking down. I'm not gonna miss this one like we missed the cache. We are gonna make sure we check every single bar and get a plane in here.
We're just kind of checking every one of these gravel bars. We haven't seen a plane yet.
Chris and Casey are searching for a gravel bar wide enough and long enough for the Helio Courier to land. This plane is a certified controllable short takeoff and landing aircraft, or C-STAL. The plane's 31-inch bush wheels are inflated to just 11 pounds per square inch, allowing them to touch down on uneven gravel strips and roll over large debris. At least 800 feet of gravel bar is needed for the plane to take off with a full load of gear and fuel. Soft spots and other obstacles in the landing strip can make touchdown impossible, eliminating their chances of extraction.
There's a good ceiling, so they're gonna get us out of here today. But we're just, like I said, gonna check every one of these bars and see if we can find the right bar that's got enough room for the plane to land.
We're blessed to do this. It's pretty amazing. We get to spend this time in these wild places. It's been an amazing journey. It put us to the test this time. I can't wait to go home and shower and be indoors with walls around me. Warm. I'm just waiting to hear the buzz of that plane. That's all I'm waiting on right now. We can just keep on pushing. Alaska threw everything at it, and we threw it right back in her face. In your face, Alaska.
After almost 3 days of rowing, Chris and Casey are close to their extraction area. With the storm nipping at their heels, they can only hope they haven't missed their ticket home.
Baby, the plane! The plane! The plane! Hey, buddy! Well, come on in! Woo. Yeah! Ah! We're going home. We're going home. I think easily. We might have missed it. We're in the right neighborhood. Yeah. That was a good sign. The plane recognized us, did a little tippy-tippy. Woo! Now we gotta go wherever he's at down there. We gotta get to that extraction.
One last set of rapids to go through. I can see the plane up there. I can just see it. We just kind of came around that bend. And you can kind of see him sticking out to the left. I can see the wing, so we made it.
We made it.
We made it, baby.
We did it. We made it. You can't miss that one. Can't miss that plane. It's right up here on the right. That's a beautiful sight.
It's been almost a month since the brothers were dropped on the high Arctic lake. The unforgiving terrain and lack of equipment has tested their resolve and patience throughout their journey.
It's had to drop 20 degrees since
Narrowly escaping with their lives more than once, the brothers have earned their way through Alaska's Brooks Range like never before. Having covered over 100 river miles, this trip has challenged their ability to not only hunt, but be alive. Their primary goal has been to survive 30 days in Alaska's wilderness on only what they can hunt or find, with potential supply caches awarded along the way. Fearing for their safety, the producers were forced to cut their journey short before an early winter storm buried the Brooks Range in ice and snow.
We got miles and miles and miles of rowing to do.
Having spotted the plane, Chris and Casey are finally going home.
Well, this is the last journal entry. That was another amazing trip in the books.
It's one of those bittersweet moments. I mean, you know, this place, there's something about Alaska every time I come up here. It just, you learn to respect it more and more and more every single time. And we battled it. We battled the elements, we battled the cold, we battled the snow. It's all come down to one thing for me. Alaska doesn't ask you to leave, it tells you to leave.
So the Arctic is definitely not to be reckoned with. It's not to be messed with. And if you don't take precautions and you don't think things through, it could be an extremely dangerous place.
And that's a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. I mean, you're going into the unknown 100%. It brings a whole new element. It brings a new element of uneasiness, a new element of nervousness, but it also brings a new element of excitement.
I think one of the biggest challenges of this one was that we didn't know what we were going to get and when we were going to get it. And so you have plans that you're trying to make. You're trying to come around every corner with some sort of execution, and you don't know what you're going to have, and you don't know what's going to happen.
And there's something to be said for that. And there's something to be said for sitting here on the other end of that journey, successful, that you can't really frame up in a camera, you can't really put it into words. It's something that you have to really live to experience. And that's the best way I can put it.
Alaska threw everything she possibly could at us, but at the end of the day, we made it to extraction, and we made it here safe, and we made it here together. And that's what counts.
No matter how hard it gets, sometimes you just have to save the best things for last.
And that is the Snickers bar that was in the cache. Frozen.
Hey everybody, I'm Casey Kiefer.
And I'm Chris Kiefer, and we're with Dropped Escape from the Arctic. We're here at Cabela's in Dundee, Michigan, filming a really special episode.
Yeah, you know, we're getting ready to gear up for the upcoming season, but at the same time, we want to show you guys a little bit about what happened during the last season of Drop that you may not have gotten to see on television.
There's a lot of stuff coming your way, and it's right here on After the Drop.
Hunters have always been the first to venture into the wilderness. Whether driven by necessity or a thirst for adventure, it is hunters who dare to go where most others won't. Brothers Chris and Casey Kiefer represent the modern-day hunter. For most of their lives, the Kiefer brothers have tested their skills as survivors in some of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable landscapes. Dropped with only a sidearm for protection and the clothes on their backs, together they will spend the next month scratching and clawing their way over 100 river miles through a land ruled by predators. In a race against time, supply-yielding caches will be placed by the producers throughout their journey. To acquire them, the brothers must beat the clock, as Mother Nature threatens to choke the North with ice and snow. For the first time, the Kiefer brothers will find out what it's like to be cast into the wild with virtually nothing. This is Dropped.
Here we are in the camping section, surrounded by all this high-tech gear, none of which we took out there with us this season.
No, we got nothing, and I can still remember the very first time stepping off that plane with only the clothes on our back, a sidearm, and looking around, and I think at that point, that's when you and I realized this challenge, it's real. Like, we set out to do this, and it's real.
And it's different. It's a lot different than what we've done in the past. Anytime we've gotten off the bush plane, we know what we have with us. This year we had to earn our way to the equipment, and I'll never forget the feeling of finding that first cache.
Keep your eye out through this entire lowland stuff. It's right there, dude. Right there. Where? Right in front of us. Right here.
Woo! Nice spot.
All right. Oh, well, we got a tendon bag for sure.
Waders.
Which is good.
Wading boots, fly rod, reel.
Zip that right there. Okay, so we got the raft.
Yep.
Here's a knife.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
We got nothing for a weapon.
No, we got a fly rod though. We know there's grayling up here, there always is. You know what else there isn't?
What?
There's no oars.
What?
There's no oars.
Well, I never will forget the excitement that we had when we actually did find that cache and tearing through it and going through all that stuff. But then realizing there was one piece of equipment that was missing that was pretty integral into our movement, which is going to be the oars.
Yeah, you don't realize how useless a raft can be until you have no oars to actually push it down the river with. So, you know, it's one of those deals, but we did pick up a lot of good things through the caches along the way. We had a lot of small items, citric acid, you know, the rifle. The rifle's a huge thing.
The rifle was huge. Once we got a weapon that we could reach out and touch them with, I think that kind of changed the game for you and I, because it actually allowed us to go hunt, which was huge for us at that point, because we had been going on no food, we've been going on just little stuff, fish here and there, and so it was really nice to get that rifle. But I think challenging ourselves and not knowing what was in that cache was probably the most difficult thing, and then being able to get there in a certain time. I mean, we had to rush sometimes, and then other times we had, you know, we could stay back, but for the most part, we were on the move.
Yeah, and there's so many unknowns, the terrain, the weather, the way things change up there. You just never know. That's apparent by the cache that we missed.
That's when the brothers came out right there.
Yeah.
That was almost drop the gloves, go to town on each other, because we could not figure out where that cache was. And you know what? It was braids. I mean, we just got mixed up. That is what it is. We missed it. We'll never know what's in that cache.
That's a culmination of everything. The braids, the weather, the rush to get out of there, the freezing river, almost led to blows.
You find it?
No. See anything?
I can't find it either.
I took that whole section over there and walked it. There's 100 channels.
I know. I walked all the way back through here. There's nothing back there.
I did the same with all this right here. It's not giving me like the exact coordinates to the foot of where it's at.
We don't have time, dude.
So what are you saying? Just fold on it and go? It could have a 10 in it for all we know. It could have
nothing in it. It could have literally nothing. It could have a flashlight in it.
At this point, I'm gonna give it at least 10 minutes.
You give it your 10 minutes, I'll be back at the raft.
That's great. Even man completely fend for himself.
Well, welcome back to After the Drop. So far in this episode, we've touched a little bit on how things were different for us this past season in Alaska. One of the major differences is we didn't get dropped with a bow or a rifle.
No, we didn't, but I'll tell you what we did get was in the first cache, we were able to pick up a rod and a reel, which was huge to be able to use up in the tundra where animals were not really going anyway.
That's
so,
right.
Now, Alaska is known for some of the best fly fishing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely
Some of the
unbelievable,
best.
right? So, but we had to kind of match the hatch, and even though we had limited gear, you were able to do that.
Well, that's always a whole different ball game. Anytime you're fly fishing, you're trying to match the hatch. That's the number one object. If you can do that, or even if you can get close, chances are you're gonna find some fish. We got lucky, took some time, we figured it out. We found our first meal of the trip.
Hey, Chris, grayling, buddy.
You did get one?
Yep. You know what I do with the first fish though, right?
Don't let him go.
That's how I roll, man.
No, you're not doing it.
First grayling of the trip.
Right in the belly. Food.
Food that goes back in the water.
Why do you do that?
Because I always let the first one go, man. If I give back, hopefully they give back to me.
They got nothing to give you. Food is what they give you. That's why you catch them.
Let's see if my theory proves right.
I don't understand what they can give back to you. They're giving you food. That's the whole point of a fish, is it gives you food, gives you protein, and you let it go. Well, again, ever since we've been kids, you've done the same thing, and you did it to me in a survival situation. You let the first fish go.
I always do it. It's
I
one
know.
of those things, man. I always feel like if I give the first fish back, then the river will give fish back to us. Makes sense, right?
It makes sense in your head, but I'll tell you what, when I was sitting there looking at that meal, I'm thinking, here he goes, he did it again, and he did. But you know what? Hey, listen, you redeemed yourself.
You know, that's the thing when you're out there, though, is you can live on fish, but only for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, we're burning through calories in the thousands upon thousands every single day out there. So when we finally did get the rifle to be able to spot some caribou, that's just icing on the cake.
Well, that was such a big moment for us, and I'm just glad that we were able to get down from you seeing them and get out in front of them, because when we got up on top of them, I mean, they were on us, right on top of us.
They're all right there. I know they're gonna move off that tundra right there. You're too balled up. Oh yeah. Oh, there's so many. There's that Yeah, he's working his way right.
I got him dead to rights.
When you're ready, take him. Nice shot. Nice shot.
Oh yeah, high shoulder.
We got food.
Look at that.
You know, of all the questions and comments we get about drops, probably the hardest thing to explain is the emotion we get when we get the first animal down on the ground. In this case, we got a caribou down, but the work's just beginning. We got a lot of meat prep and a lot of meat care that has to be done, but we got a caribou down.
Well, and that's just it. You know, we have to do it right, and we could have taken so many more animals. I mean, we were surrounded by caribou the entire time we were out there, and it was one of those things where that's not what this trip was about. That's not what this drop was about, was knocking down an animal. We had enough so that you and I could eat the rest of the time we were out there, and then some, so we knew we were safe in that capacity. But to add a little bit of salt in the wound, we come rowing up, trying to get to that plane, we run into a solid moose.
Oh, big moose.
I mean, a great moose.
Hey, moose right there. Where? Right there.
How sweet was that? That was an awesome bull. How about it, man? Moose everywhere.
Oh my gosh, man. They're everywhere. And that was a good bull. The mighty Mutakamus. They're out.
I was trying to get him on film. I got old Captain Stubing up there just swinging us around in circles, doing nothing but whirling dervish.
I was going to 360. I just saw go by.
Oh, that's it from Marty Stouffer's Wild Adventures for today. We're just gonna keep rowing. Seems like we can at least do that.
You know, Chris, we've been dropped in Alaska a lot of different times. Everybody always gets to see the beautiful side, the side that looks just like a postcard, the big, grand beauty stuff. But as you walk around this mountain, you really do get an inside look at some of the more dangerous and nasty stuff that Alaska has to offer.
Man, we have had our serious run-ins with dangerous animals while we've been in Alaska, but none closer than the wolf this year when we were up there.
That's right.
I surprised that wolf when I jumped up there. I know it because I saw his face right before we had to take him down, and it threw me for a loop. But you know what? You've been up there. I've been up there enough times to know when you get into a situation like that, you better check your six and you better put one in the chamber because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you never know. That case is, you know, perfect. We go after a caribou. Next thing you know, you end up running into a wolf in the middle of nowhere. And the wolves, they do so much damage, right?
So much damage. They're a predator up there. They're hurting the caribou population. They're taking things down left and right. I'm glad it was him and not me because it was this close to being me.
It's about another 20 yards. 30 yards. He's working his way right. I say we creep in here right now, but I don't want to like dive in there. Why don't we just walk up and let our wind blow? You know what I mean?
Whoa, 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 whoa! He just stood up. Check him. Woo!
Oh my God.
Wow! Am I shaking? Look at that. I took 3 steps backwards, man.
Dude, he knew we were here long before we knew he was here.
That second shot dropped him right there in his tracks.
He was just laying right down in here, or what?
Just kind of stood up behind this stuff and looked, just when he stood up and looked at me, and I just popped off one, and he just kind of folded, and the second one he just dropped.
Well, I heard you yelling, and the next thing I know, you're shooting.
Freaked me out when I turned around, and that's all I saw.
I can't believe how close that wolf got to me. I was super lucky. There is no doubt about it. Unbelievable encounter I'll never forget. And you know, we've run into our fair share of predators while we're up there, which we know Alaska's got a lot of them. But when you talk about a guy like this, these giant interior grizzly bears, I mean, think about it. We're in a choke point pretty much.
Like 100,
we were at an area
yards.
where all of their prey was funneling through one little section, and they could just sit there all day long and eat.
That's exactly right. It's amazing when that terrain changes. You find those chokes, you find prey, you also find predators. And to a guy like this, we're no different than any other prey rolling down through that valley.
No, at that point, we were just a floating bait pile. And when we walk up and we think it's a moose, and the next thing you know, we turn around and it's a giant grizz coming right at us.
They're gearing up for hibernation. They're hungry. They're willing to travel. They're looking for food.
Hey,
Moose right there. Where? Right there. Where? Right there.
All right, let's go look and see. Holy bear.
This ain't good.
Bear.
That gun loaded. Is there bullets in it?
Yeah, bear.
But he's coming right at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That went from a moose to a grizzly real fast.
That drastically changes things.
Coming right to the meat.
We still gotta sleep here.
Well, Chris, it's one thing to run into one of these big guys in the middle of the daylight. You can see him, you know he's there, you know where he's at. You really don't stand a chance no matter what, but it's a whole different ball game running into him in the middle of the night.
Man, I'll tell you what, we just got that bear out of there. He finally left our cache, and we just knew it was gonna be a long, sleepless night.
I think I can hear something out there in the cache. I think that grizzly bear's back. Hey, there's something at that cache. I don't want him getting into that meat. Let's just walk out to the edge and see if we can scare him off. Yeah, let's go. You see him? Hey,
Hey, bear. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, get out of here. Hey. Get out.
He's coming right at us.
Get.
Oh, that's gonna make for a longer night, huh? Brutal.
Well, Casey, so far we've talked a lot about the differences with this year's dropped escape from the Arctic, and we talked a little bit about the predators that we ran into and all the trials and tribulations that we've had, but one thing we can't explain is how cold it was when we were on that river.
This season was just viciously cold, colder than any drop that we've been on in the past, really. And I still remember getting that initial, you know, that inReach GPS that said, storm coming, you gotta go.
I'll never forget it.
Oh, and we pushed miles and miles and miles in single degree temperatures. It was just vicious, and I think that's what made it worse. Going that fast, not making shelter just to get out. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, Alaska does not ask you to leave, Alaska tells you to leave.
We're hot to trot from the woods on the last night. Boom, look at that. Big fire. What do you think, man?
Big old fire under some pines. Been cold on that river, man. Freezing cold, snowing, throwing into a headwind.
Today was a long, brutal day. We're still in our waders. We're not going to sleep.
No, I'm not going to sleep. You can sleep if you want.
No, I don't think so.
Keep this fire warm. As soon as we get enough light to row out of here, I'm gonna get back in that raft and I'm gonna start rowing again.
Daylight, we go to extraction. Off. Well, I'll never forget that night. That was one of the coldest nights we've ever had. We didn't even stop to build shelter. I mean, we literally just said, let's build the biggest fire we possibly can and stand there all night long. And really, we battled shelter building the whole time.
The entire time, and that's the battle you face is, you know, are we stopping for a short period of time or are we gonna stay here for a while? Build shelter, don't build shelter. It's always a constant back and forth. You never know what the weather's gonna do, but when you do build shelter, boy, is it nice.
Just keep that cover. Pull the whole front tight like this and use the oars up front. Yeah, here's the end of it right here. I don't want to cut it, but we have to cut a section. I'm gonna cut right here, tie it, and then we can adjust the rock tension in the back.
It's starting to rain again. And then once we put pressure on those fronts,
it'll pull it tight. I'm thinking we can tie it to like up by the oar lock. Do the same thing over there.
with it tethered to the oar, gonna give it some weight so that if the wind picks up again, it's not gonna blow the front of it.
Yeah. Feel the heat's already staying in here. Yeah. At least we're out of it, man.
So we're back live here at Cabela's filming the After the Dropped episode, and right now we're actually going to jump over to a little Facebook Live and start taking some questions for Dropped and kind of what the trip was all about.
Yeah, so we get tons of questions that come in via email, also on Instagram and all the social media channels, but what's awesome is Facebook Live. being able to go live and answer questions live as it's coming. So we're going through here, and someone just said that the beard is legit. So they're digging Casey's beard. Everybody knows that beard, that's what keeps him warm when he's out there. I'm pretty sure that's it. So one guy says, how did you fight the no-see-em bugs? Well, really, it was so cold.
Yeah.
There's no bugs.
Yep. That time of year, it's so cold, you don't really have to worry about them.
I mean, nothing. So one said, did you keep the meat? How did you guys keep the meat? Well, actually, in the cache, we got citric acid, right?
Yeah, citric acid is a great tool for keeping meat. You just put a thin layer on, it helps to cook the outside, keeps the bugs from laying eggs. It's awesome.
And someone just asked, what was in the cache you didn't get? Well, we don't know.
I wish I knew.
Because we didn't get it. And we don't want to know. We didn't ask, because if we ask, we're going to find out, and that's probably going to make us even more mad, because at that point, I'm sure it will be something that we would have been able to use. But all right, how did you deal with being so cold on drop this year? That's coming from Matthew Smith. How you doing, Smitty?
Keep a fire going. That's about what you can do. Keep a fire going and layer your clothing properly. That's one thing. We did have the luxury of having our clothes with us when we were out there in terms of what we wanted to wear. So we were able to layer it just right and everything worked out. So.
Yep. All right, hey from Indiana. How you doing, man, from Indiana? God bless you too, man. How many socks? We just had the one pair of socks.
Yeah, just one pair of socks.
Yeah, we didn't have any extra socks. Smart Wools. That's what we were wearing.
Are you guys on any medication? And if so, how does it affect you on this type of hunt? Nope.
Nope.
Not on any medication.
No medication. Healthy as a horse here. So, and then the last question we'll take here is, let's see, what boots did you guys have on? So we had on the Cabela's boots. Yep. We had on the Cabela's Mindel boots.
The Denali's.
The Denali's. And we kept those on the whole time, and they were saving grace because, I mean, without a good pair of boots, you're
toast.
So anyway, thank you guys for Facebook. We appreciate you taking all those questions and giving to them. They're still coming in here. All kinds of things dropping through. But at the end of the day, we wanted to bring you something different. We wanted to be able to bring you guys something that was cool, interact with social, and that's what we've done on After the Drop.
That's right.
Fire, shelter, those are the two things that can get you through no matter what. And the last thing is just being straight up bush savvy.
Yep.
You don't have to be a survivalist. You just got to be smart, put your head to it, and just use your head.
Get it done, man.
That's it.
Get it
so,
done.
Hey, listen, we're super excited you guys joined us this week for After the Drop. Kind of walked you through. I think it was a lot of fun. I know we're here at Cabela's gearing up. I know the fall's coming. We're getting ready to hit the woods, right?
Yeah, we're getting ready to get out there. As always, we appreciate you guys watching at home, the questions, the comments, everything you guys throw our way. You help make Drop exactly what it is. So, and really, until next time, that's it.
That's it.
That's a
We're
wrap.
off for another drop. We'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.